It's time for MacBreak Weekly. Jason Snell's here. Andy Iannaco's here. Alex has the week off. The embargo has been lifted. So Jason Snell's review of the M5 MacBook Pro, iPad Pro, and Vision Pro. All the pros with M5s coming up in just a little bit. We'll also talk about Apple TV and how it could be better, chiefly with the price, and how to figure out if Electron apps are slowing down your Macintosh. That and more coming up next on MacBreak Weekly.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is MacBreak Weekly, episode 995, recorded Tuesday, October 21st, 2025. Forget about it. It's time for MacBreak Weekly, the show where we cover the latest news from Apple. Jason Snell is here from sixcolors.com, and
I am here.
Longtime editor-in-chief at Macworld.
Many moons ago now, but yes, it's true.
And
it's true. Back when magazines existed and roamed the earth.
He has a little plastic axe to prove it. Also with us, Mr. Andrew Iannaco. He's in the library. Hello, Andy.
Hello.
Hello.
It's nice to be supporting local infrastructure. Exactly. It's for the
that's not a queen wave. That's a princess wave. Yeah.
Jimmy Stewart described that way. The screw in the light bulb wave.
Yeah. And once you see that, you never can stop seeing it. And no Alex Lindsay again this week. He is on assignment.
Secret.
We shall find out where that assignment is someday.
No, I don't think we will. I think it might be declassified by a future president.
No, he was at a No Kings protest. The zipper got stuck in his frog costume. They don't want to cut it off of him because that's like $18.
I was shopping for inflatable costumes actually for Saturday, and I found one where you can wear a chicken suit and walk, but you're out of the chicken suit. You're like walking chicken, and I thought that's a perfect one because I can see what's going on.
I keep remembering like in the lore of the DC graphic novel The Watchmen. Like there's a reason why like superheroes like started wearing like masks and costumes, and it's like it absolutely tracks with what's happening right now. It's because first the police officers like didn't want their identities to be known, and then the criminals are like, well, if the criminals like started masking up, and then the cops were like, well, like if we're at a disadvantage of our identities, and then it kind of spiraled up from there. So I don't know what's gonna happen 15 years from now. It might be cool. We
could all be wearing inflatable costumes. I actually have to get a costume for. There it is, by the way. I just think that would be so fun, especially in Petaluma, the chicken capital of the world. It would be appropriate. So maybe I should just order that. I presume they come with a little fan built in.
Yeah.
That's what keeps it. I used to have a sumo suit like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Adam Savage on his Tested channel had on a couple of cosplayers who like specialize in making inflatable costumes and was showing off like all like the technologies that they figured out that, okay, well we used to use a leaf blower, but it was too much and also too loud. We found these little circulating fans, and it's like, oh, what? I imagined that engineering was part of it, but I didn't realize how much trial and error had been involved.
Ladies and gentlemen, can you hear that sound? The creaking sound of chains and metal? That's the embargo being lifted.
What a relief.
Hanging over our heads now, the M5 iPad, the M5 MacBook Pro, and the new double knit band.
Amazing M5 Vision Pro. Whoa, it'll change nothing.
Hey, let's start with the Vision Pro because then we can play. I forgot last week to play the Vision Pro theme, ladies and gentlemen.
What do you see? What do you know? It's time to talk the Vision Pro.
With only half the Vision Pro users of our normal complement.
Yeah.
This means that Jason Snell has the onus, the burden.
I'm really bearing the burden here on the Vision Pro.
You did. You went out and bought PlayStation VR 2 for your review.
Yeah, I have PSVR controllers that I bought because I didn't realize that those were officially supported now. I know Apple said they were.
We talked about it on the show and everything.
Apple said they were, but I have never seen anybody talk about it.
Well, they weren't selling them separately.
Well, so that's it. But I didn't know that they worked, and they do. And so I bought a PSVR 2 and just took the controllers and paired them to the Vision Pro. and they work just fine. There are only about 4 apps that use them, and one of them is in beta, but it's the Vision Pro. That's not surprising.
Did you get the VR2 helmet as well, even though you don't need it?
I did, because they're not sold separately yet. Apple's going to here's the deal. If you're a Vision Pro person who's curious about this and you have a PlayStation, just buy the PSVR 2.
How much is it, just the standalone?
PSVR 2, you can get them used now. You can get them used and reconditioned for like $300, $350, and it's $250 for just the controllers when Apple and Sony sell those separately. So if you've got a PS5, you should just pay the extra $100 or whatever, especially since you can find a lot of these out there used on eBay or as a refurb on Amazon. And I haven't even tried the helmet yet.
You don't need it. You've got a VR Vision Pro. So how do the controllers, how responsive are they? How do they work? Tell us about that.
They're pretty good. I mean, it's hard. I have a Quest 2 and 3, so it's familiar. I was wondering, here's the funny thing. So there's a ping pong game on Vision Pro, and 11 Table Tennis is my favorite game on Quest. It is a ping pong game that uses the hand controllers that come with the Quest. Quest is like $500, and it's great. And the ping pong game on the Vision Pro, I'm using with my hands, I'm like holding an invisible paddle and trying to do it that way. And like, it's got adjustments and stuff. It just doesn't work. It's so frustrating. I get it like perfectly lined up with my forehand, and then I turn it to the backhand and it's completely wrong. And it's like, this doesn't work. So I thought, okay, the hand controllers, I'm going to get those, and now it's going to make sense. And I pair the hand controllers and I go into that ping pong game. It's not very good. And I realized, I think it's the app. I think the app isn't as good as 11 Table Tennis. I don't think it's the Vision Pro. I don't think it's the hand tracking. I think that is not a very good app. Sorry to those people, but I've used 11 Table Tennis and it's very good. I did get to use Pickle Pro, which is in beta right now in test flight, which is a pickleball game for the Vision Pro. And it was great. It was at the level of quality, I would say. It had a few bugs, but it is still in beta. But I'd say it was at the level of fun of 11 Table Tennis. And it's really well done. So look, nobody in their right mind should pay $3,500 for a Vision Pro and then on top of it pay $300 or $400 for PSVR controllers. It's just, or $250 if you get them. Like, don't do that. $500 Quest 3. It's really good. And I'm the guy who likes the Vision Pro. Just get a Quest 3 if you want to play games. It comes with hand controllers. They're included. It's amazing. Yeah. But I will say this:
$1,500 for the Quest.
Yeah, the Quest Pro, which then they discontinued.
Yeah,
you can buy 3 Quest 3s for that now. So here is what I would say though: if you have a Vision Pro, or also if Apple is trying to build out content, because as we've detailed here for the last year, here on the world's leading Vision Pro podcast, one of the big struggles with the Vision Pro, yes, it's too heavy and too expensive. But the other problem is there's just no content on it. Even people who like it, all of us who like it say, when I'm using it, I keep trying to find excuses to keep using it after I put it on. And the problem is it's work, right? Because there isn't a lot of content for it. Well, if you have hand controllers, at least you could port games to it. At least the games would be there along with the immersive video and all of that. And if Apple is building a platform and one day there's going to be something that's cheaper and lighter and fits better on your head, then you would like there to be games built for it at that point. So it's a good step in that direction. Apple's not making the controllers and there are only these weird Sony controllers. But when it's all said and done, playing that Pickle Pro game, I was like, okay, this is acceptable. It basically is, this is like what I thought it would be like. You can navigate the interface with the controllers. If you're using the controllers, you don't have to put them down in order to navigate around the Vision Pro. It works just like the Quest. You can point a laser beam basically and click, but if you get an eye tracking mode, and Vision Pro is all eye tracking, you look at something and then you click the trigger. And it's like you tapped your fingers together. You can navigate through the whole Vision Pro, even when you're holding the hand controllers. So, by the way, for those who are not watching the video version of this, I'm holding the hand controllers right now.
Yes.
And I know enough about the people who work at MacBreak Weekly to know that they are going to take a still of this and use it as the thumbnail for this episode. So... Anyway,
the people are John Ashley.
Wait, it's John Ashley.
Go back.
I smiled. You just write.
Should we all do it?
Write the
Jason,
time code down.
I need you to do back one more time. Now pose.
I know. Good directors don't give notes, but
Okay, good. Because you were holding the control in your left the wrong way. That's why I'm making you redo it again.
Oh, yeah. That was it.
Wait a minute. You should do a three-shot, though, with us all holding our controllers.
Yes. Anyway, so it works. It's impractical, like everything in the Vision Pro, but I'm glad they did it. And the non-bundled version will be out. The real story is...
They announced this months ago. Why is it taking so long?
I think it's because Sony has to go into their warehouse and rebundle all of those, unbundle and rebundle all those things. So they also released the knit band for $100, which is available to anybody who's got a Vision Pro.
This is the double knit.
Dual knit band, and it's very good, and it's the one they should have shipped with the first product.
It has a headpiece.
It's got both of them above and behind, and a single dial that can adjust either one of them. It makes it much more comfortable.
A lot of people bought it third-party aftermarket.
Yeah, there's a Belkin one that's pretty good. This is, I think, nicer than the Belkin one, but the Belkin one is pretty good. That's the best one I ever found. And then this one that I'm holding is also the M5, and I think again, nobody should upgrade. If you have a Vision Pro, stay where you are, remain in your seats. Everything will be fine. But I think Apple wanted to stop making the M2 chip, right? Like so, and it's a kind of a free thing to keep it rolling, and they can keep selling them, and they can keep it existing, but without they're not ready, and we know they're not going to be ready for a long time to come out with something that's like a real rethink of this, because I think the tech is just too far out to make it actually lighter and cheaper the way they want. So it keeps the product alive. What the tidbit that I thought is interesting is it turns out, funny, Apple didn't talk about this when they released this product, but it turns out that the M2 processor is not actually powerful enough to fully use the resolution of those Sony OLED displays that are in the Vision Pro.
You're kidding.
No. So even with foveated rendering, which for people who don't know, that's the idea that if you're not looking straight at something, your brain doesn't actually... right? It's like the detail, it doesn't notice a lack of detail off to the sides. Right. And so VR headsets... why
I keep running into cars at stop signs.
Yeah, VR headsets know this, and so they save processing power by highly resolving things in your direct field of vision, which they know you're looking there because of eye tracking. But off to the side, it's all a little fuzzy. And if you take a Vision Pro screenshot, you can see it. You can see that there's a clear part and a not clear part. But even in the clear part, the M2 was not resolving it at the full resolution of those Sony displays. Now, is the M5? I don't know. Apple won't say, but they did say it's resolving it with 10% more pixels being rendered. So
sounds
everything,
like it is.
And here's the, I don't know. The M5 might not even be powerful enough at full frame rate to do that. I think that
are they 8K, 4K? What are the?
I don't know what they are. I think they might be 4K. But here's what you notice. In practical terms, by going to the M5 and increasing the rendering, the place you notice this the most, honestly, is in one of its best features, which is the Mac Virtual Display, because we're all used to we all know what a Retina display looks like, right? And so if you're looking, because the reality is all weird shapes and shadows and stuff, and like you may not be like, that's not as sharp as it should be, but on a Mac display, and so there it looks clearer, because when you're looking at your Mac display that you expect to be sharp, it's sharper on the M5. So I don't think it's a reason for anybody to upgrade, again, because you shouldn't.
Do movies look better?
I don't. Not so that I noticed. I always thought,
seems, by the way, to be
they also always look
number
good.
one use of the Vision
Pro. Yeah. No, this is movies, immersive or 3D, or even just big movies that look beautiful on a giant screen.
Right.
So yeah,
a personal movie theater.
Theoretically, they will look better if they have the resolution for it, because the foveated area is going to look better.
Right.
But so that's something.
So even if you're looking at a movie, they don't bother rendering the edges as precisely?
I think not, because they have to, because they're rendering in a virtual space, right? They're not just rendering the rectangle. They're rendering your whole virtual space, the movie theater, the environment, whatever it is, and as you turn,
the rest of the environment's static. Oh, I guess it's not if you move your head.
Well, that's right. Exactly. And the way it works is it's refreshing so quickly that by the time your eyes move to focus on something different, it's moved where it's rendering at the high quality. That's what how the foveated rendering works. I've never, ever like looked to my left and gone, aha, I caught you. You're not like that. No, it happens that fast. Yeah. So So anyway, that's funny. It's a funny little quirk, and it's good. But there's almost nothing in the Vision Pro that I ever thought, if only it had more processing power. Obviously, all the power is being used to create that virtual environment. But like the only place I noticed that it was faster, like in a computer terms, is making a spatial persona, which usually makes you wait like a minute, and I only had to wait like 20 or 30 seconds. But I mean, it's really not the point of it.
Nobody would upgrade their M2 to M5.
No, maybe if you were a developer or something, or
the company's paying for it.
It's really there. It's really there so that Apple going forward will sell this instead of the other one. And I think my headline on Six Colors is
first-time buyers.
Yeah, and is the experiment continues, because that's really the story here. It's just they're continuing this weird platform that is not a platform for people right now, just in the hopes that it will evolve into something, and they'll find content and they'll find a purpose for it to exist. And it's so if you bought one today, you'd get a nicer strap and you'd get a better processor, and it means that when this is still on the price list in 2 years, it's not using a processor that's 6 years old, which is, I think, the real point to it.
And we should point out the PS2 hand controllers also work with the original Vision Pro. You don't need to upgrade for that.
No. It's Vision OS 26 supports the Sony hand controllers. And so, you compare those, all this stuff, the strap, like Apple is not leaving it. Apple knows that the people who are in Vision Pros at all are their astronauts. They are their explorers. Right. Everything that they're making available is also available on the older model.
Yeah. Why didn't they?
Don't put things down. I mean, benchmarks would indicate that it is now 40% faster at sitting in a drawer doing nothing for months on end.
Oh, Andy!
If that's not
I'm trying not to bully Jason. I'm trying not to bully him.
Well, that's why I've been forced.
Because we could gang up on him now that he doesn't have his partner.
Exactly. We don't have to play a zone defense. We can play a man offense.
Mm-hmm. Here is a Reddit video.
It's offensive, all right.
From Spatially Me that shows the difference in rendering speed of the M2 versus the M5. And
the other funny thing is it goes up to 120 hertz, which is what we learned. Apple trying to differentiate the M2 to the M5 and the Vision Pro has actually revealed all the places where their much vaunted Apple Silicon processor actually couldn't keep up with the quality of their display, those Sony displays. So they couldn't do the refresh rate or the rendering, use all the pixels in their rendering
Not a knock
engine.
really on the M2. It's just doing a lot, right?
Well, that's right. It's what it turns out is the most advanced piece of tech in the Vision Pro are those Sony screens. They're like the size of a postage stamp, and they're like 4K OLED screens.
Yeah.
And the processor can't run them at 120 frames at 1-to-1 resolution because it's too hard. Because that's a lot in real time. So with the M5, they're closer to it. Is basically.
I can't imagine spending the money for a second one. I guess maybe is there a good resale price for the M2?
I mean, you see them. There are a lot out there, and you see them. I don't know, $1,500. I mean, there are people who are unloading them.
Is there an Apple trade-in? Can you trade in the M2?
You cannot. They don't want them back.
Okay. All right. So I'm looking at this video. Thank you, Spatially Me. And it's clear that it is faster for rendering. I mean, the pizzas appear much more quickly in your space.
Yeah, everything's going to be a little bit faster. But like I said, I never really felt like I was waiting around for a lot of stuff in the Vision Pro. I think that the biggest changes are going to be that the rendering is higher quality, and that the frame rate is able to peak much higher, which if Alex were here, he would say something about 120 hertz being much more 8K, realistic. And the idea that the reality around you will seem a little more real if it's able to update at 120.
On today's show, I'm sorry to say.
Sorry.
Why did Apple not embrace gaming? That's what Meta did, and it certainly sold a lot more Meta Quests. Why did they not embrace gaming?
I think part of it, maybe they were too proud. They're like, no, we're revolutionizing computing with this. It's also possible that they knew that the thing they wanted to build, this super high-end, all these sensors, $3,500 thing, could not even plausibly be described as a gaming thing. But I think they just didn't want to have gaming in the conversation, that was what Meta was doing, and that they were trying to build a spatial computer and not a game-playing device, which the Quest is. I mean, the Quest is. That's what it is.
Right.
But I think it's a mistake because, like I said earlier, this thing needs content. It's hungry. It's desperate for content. And games is content, just like immersive video is content. And so, I'm glad at least there's an option for it. It's still not like in the box or anything, but at least you can do it. That's a start. We'll see what they do.
Yeah. Somebody in the Discord pointed out the iPhone really wasn't a gaming platform until the market made it so, right?
Yeah. Apple's relationship to gaming is basically it builds platforms and then hopes games happen there.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
with the hand controllers, they had to enable support for third-party hand controllers before you could even go down that path in Vision OS, which they have done now, or at least for Sony. We'll see. I don't know if that opens it up for other controllers or if it's explicitly wired to the PSVR controllers right now. It would be nice if there was some competition on the hand controller front.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the NBA? This is something that is planned. Apple's going to shoot a basketball game with the Vision.
So I can't wait for Alex to be back so we can talk about this, but it has been announced that there are going to be some Lakers games that are going to be broadcast in immersive, which will be the first live immersive using the Blackmagic.
The whole game?
The whole game live. We don't know how that will work. Nobody knows. It's going to happen early next year, but there'll be several Lakers games, and they'll be live to people who get access to the Lakers. So it's like live in market, but then they'll be also available for playback on the NBA app afterward. So we'll all get a chance to see sort of like what is it like to have a whole live sporting event happen, and are you courtside? Are you can you choose a view courtside or behind the baskets? Does it choose for you, or do you just sit there? We don't know, but I think the NBA is the perfect platform for that because, courtside, you're right there.
You stay in a wide shot,
there.
But you
they're
look
tall.
back and forth.
The three-dimensionality of it means something. I mean, there's just big sweaty men right in front of you. Like, it's a whole thing.
I sat courtside once at a Warriors game.
Scary?
And it's a little scary because they are tall and they're big and they're right there in your lap. It's a little scary. Anyway, Spectrum Sportsnet will power the live immersive streams for Lakers fans through a new Sportsnet app.
Right, on Apple TV or on Vision Pro.
150 megabits. So that's interesting. You know what? I hate to even say this, but I would consider buying a Vision Pro if, the other story is Apple spent $750 million and announced on Saturday that they have indeed purchased the U.S. broadcast rights for Formula One racing.
It's true.
ESPN has those rights right now and doesn't do a very good job. In fact, for a while they were sticking ads in the middle of the race, which really was not a good thing. There was some concern. The reason this took so long, $750 million for 5 years, by the way. The reason it took, which is like twice or three times what ESPN was paying. The reason it took so long is Apple wanted Formula One to stop using its F1 TV app as streaming service in the U.S., and they agreed. So Apple's taken the whole kit and caboodle over now. I know I'm the only one in this show who actually watches Formula One, but I do really love the streaming app. And if somebody briefly made a demo of this, which I think Apple asked them to take down, of Formula One, because F1 TV streaming you can watch the broadcast pictures, but you can also watch each driver has a camera.
Yeah.
And there's driver radios. There's really a lot more going on. There is a view of the track where positions are on there. There's a lot of data and you can watch all of that. I use something called F1 Viewer on the Mac to watch it. It's incredible.
So it would not surprise me if Apple works with F1 to bring the data that's in F1 TV to the Vision Pro, right?
I would hope so. And that I might actually spend $3,500.
That's the thing is the killer app. We talk about Vision Pro, like if the killer app, that's why I think the live basketball is so interesting.
Yeah.
Is if you're a huge basketball fan and your team says next year all the home games are going to be courtside immersive or whatever, like that. There are people who that it will sell the headset.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Like
If
you
you're
just
a
need
massive
one
Warriors fan to be able to sit
real
courtside.
good reason to do it, whatever it is. If there was a comprehensive live, like a comprehensive Broadway content package with lots of great shows that were like, it only takes one, but nobody's really found the one yet. So, but it's all still experimental. But Apple's partnership with F1 makes it possible that will be part of the experiment. Is some stuff with F1. I think not like immersive video like you're there because the speed of the cars going around the track, it kind of doesn't make sense. But a thing like some of the apps that we've seen, including the one that was there and that got pulled, the idea that you've got all that F1 data and all those different camera angles and it's all kind of in F1 TV, could you make an immersive kind of cockpit of all of that around you in Vision Pro? Maybe, that could be interesting. So we'll see what they do with it. But it's a big deal. This is Apple's, end to end. They're going to get all in the US. They're going to have all rights, like the F1 TV subscriptions. You get it if you're an Apple TV subscriber. Watching the live races, you get it if you're an Apple TV subscriber. That's it.
Yeah,
period.
I pay $150 a year. Actually, it was less. It was like $80, but they've raised it to watch F1 TV.
Yeah, you won't have to do that anymore.
It's 24 races. There's a lot of races, and it is really a fun way, much better way to watch than on ESPN.
And
I hope Apple does justice to it. I mean, they spend enough money that one hopes they will. What you should not do is shoot the F1 race with an Ursa, because I think maybe there's one Ursa at the finish line or something. That doesn't. I don't really want to.
I think, I was talking to somebody who said that maybe you do an immersive lap at every track or something like that. But the actual race viewing immersive doesn't make sense.
I think you'd throw up if they did that.
And the cars are just zooming by and there's I think what you do is you're in the like ultimate cockpit of like, I've got video and I've got data and I've got a virtual, maybe there's a virtual track beneath you that shows where everybody is. And like, it's more like data overload, not immersion with the being there. It's immersion with the data. And that's a very different thing than Ben Thompson, the analyst, was talking about doing a courtside immersive for the NBA. And he's like, you don't need anything. And he's kind of right when you think about it. It's like, you don't need graphics because if you want to know the score, guess what you do? You look up at the scoreboard. I'm like, yeah, that is a really good place for immersion because you're there and you can just look at the scoreboard if you want to see the score. But F1 is not like that.
No, this is I guess there is an app. I didn't realize this. This is Lapz, LAPZ.
Yeah, I think it died though, isn't that the one that got pulled from the store? And there's a lot of conspiracy theories. I would not be surprised if it comes back as an official something.
Yeah.
But I don't know anything about it.
They would sell me a Vision Pro if I could do this.
And this is why they want to experiment with this stuff because maybe that's a killer app for race fans in the US anyway. So we'll see.
I feel a little sad that I don't know. I feel like the Vision Pro. I don't know. It's just not. It's not going anywhere.
I feel like it's moving forward in terms of development, but it's a years long thing. I mean, like everybody at Apple needs to be accepting of the fact that like the whole idea here is you're building a platform and exploring something, but it's like, it's not going to be a thing for a while. And I think that's true of all of the big helmet things, right? The big nerd helmet things is like, they're just too expensive and too clunky right now.
And they make too many people ill.
Yeah,
to be honest,
I
think that's
never
part of the problem.
had anything like that with the Vision Pro, and really even with the Quest, but people do, and it's an issue. So yeah, it's just I hope Apple keeps with it because I will tell you the OS updates and the content updates, they are happening. It is progressing, but it's going to take a long time. There's no like, short of a killer app thing, whether it's F1 or the NBA or something else like that, it's going to be years because this technology is so far out there. The fact that Apple's chips, which are so advanced, even struggle to drive the display.
That's interesting.
And it's the current display that Alex wishes were higher resolution even than that. Like we're talking this is like our conversation last week about the coming from the glasses side. It's like you can't just wave a magic wand and make this stuff happen. Getting that kind of processor power and being able to update those kinds of displays, or getting the vision path to get true AR overlays on the actual world out there. Like, this is all so hard, and all the willpower in the world can't make it happen. That stuff needs to get invented, and it's going to take years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to, I mean, we have a lot of fun arguing about this, but I still say that it's yet to be demonstrated that this is even a viable product. Which is not to say that it isn't a viable product, but I'm saying that this is still a faith-based initiative on Apple's part, on Samsung's part, and on everyone else's part.
Yep.
I also don't think that Apple is pouring billions of dollars into the Vision Pro with the idea of, oh, we know that this isn't going to go anywhere. This is just a platform that we need to create so that we can create the smart glasses that we want to create. So it's Steve Jobs used to speak of the Apple TV after it failed to immediately set the world on fire. He says, "Oh well, we're sort of experimenting with it, or we're dabbling with it for now." And I think that's definitely. I think it's similar. It's a similar thing where it's a face-saving sort of thing where people who can afford it and can buy it when they can like it, and that's great. They were always going to be display component limited in how many they could ship anyway. So they definitely didn't expect to ship in iPhone numbers. But even all of that said, this is not the only time that I kind of figure, oh, this is a good place to have a discussion about it is when people think, oh, no. As soon as they get the price down on those goggles, as soon as they make them light enough, as soon as the content is there for the goggles, that's when everybody's going to have one. And you're going to wonder, hey, remember those days when we used to do things over smartphones? Who can even remember? Like, okay, again, it's good to it's good to love things. It's good to have faith in things. It's a good thing to be excited about things, but just keep one foot in reality that I do believe that this is a faith-based initiative right
especially if you're from Minnesota, I want to say. So
that's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could look at spatial computing, and you can look at immersive, and you can look at like all these different things that are sort of being tried on this platform. Part of that is like, is this a thing? Is this a thing?
Is this anything?
Is this a thing? And like, I think that if there's something that costs, look, I don't think there's necessarily an one size fits all kind of product down the road here, but like, could it be that if you're somebody who uses a computer all the time, that in 5 or 10 years, it's totally worth it to spend $1,000 on a thing that's an extended display because you travel, and it's primarily just Mac virtual display, but it means that wherever you're working, you can have a high resolution display for your computer. Maybe. Is it for theater? Is it for sports? Is it like, again, is it a thing? There may be, and there's some industrial things that are, that Apple's trying out too. But you're right, Andy, that there is a leap of faith about, well, in the future, will we all just have these VR helmets that we put on? Versus like a really lightweight AR kind of thing. I think anybody who is certain that we will is making it up, because you could even look at how Apple is approaching the content on the Vision Pro, and it's very much like seeking whether it's a thing or not. And while I think that stuff like immersive video and definitely just having a giant screen where you can't have a giant screen to watch a movie
that's
or using your Mac might be one of those applications that you want to follow that thread. Right now, there's no thread to follow. Right now, they've thrown the whole ball of yarn in and are like, we'll see, let's see what develops. And we just don't know how any of it's going to react. If I had to guess, I've always thought that the spatial computing thing was a little curious. I think that there was some pride on Apple's side and like, look, it's a complete computer platform. And there's a question of like, do we and will we ever want a 3D spatial computing platform? Is that a thing that people want and will find useful? Especially if it's a whole bunch of 2D planes hovering around us. Well, the Mac is pretty good at hovering 2D planes already, right? Do we need more of that in a 3D space? Maybe not. I think who knows? But I do think there's also a quest to like drill down and like find that thread that's like, oh, that could be a product. And maybe it is just a Mac display or a movie watching thing like the X-Reel glasses are, right? Where it's just like it's way cheaper, it's way less complicated, but it's good because you can bring your Mac with you and have a gigantic display, or you can watch movies on the plane. And you don't need a Vision Pro for that, right? But the Vision Pro is like, let's just pour it all in there and see what happens, and that's where we are.
Yeah. And I will say also that F1 is a really great match for this sort of thing, because the people who are into F1 are probably not the kind of, more people who are into F1 are the kind of people who either already have a Vision Pro or are like, wow, that sounds like a really great way. If the platforms deliver, like, wow, $3,500 is not no money, but hey, I'd buy that to appreciate this.
You just need one killer app, and then you'll find an audience.
A killer app for an audience that can feel like if $3,500 is a reasonable amount of money to spend on that. Again, $3,500 for most people is going to be okay. Instead of buying a really good laptop and a really good phone and a really good tablet and that watch that I've had my eye on that's a few $100s, I'm going to buy these pair of goggles instead. And the thing is, it's not going to be able to live up to the expectations of $3,500 investment in a group of computing platforms to solve problems, make my life more fun, more interesting, make my work easier to get through. That's a big ask. And right now, I don't think the Vision Pro is anywhere near being able to do that.
You're saying most people. I think it's more like, are there 20,000 NBA fans who would buy a Vision Pro tomorrow if they could watch every game of their team courtside and immersive? Maybe, but that's what it would be. It would not be most people. Like I don't know if we're ever going to be at most people want to strap a big thing on their face. The other things, like particularly when you get to like entertainment and watching sports, for a lot of people, that's a communal activity. And that's one of the simple things that are almost
not F1's fans.
No, again.
F1 fans watch in solitude. I promise you, in the middle of the night.
That's what I'm talking about. The big difference being, like, again, you could in terms of making entertainment like movies and other things like that. You're still thinking, well, I can only be in my own private little bubble watching this. I can't share that. I can't be watching this movie with other people. I can't be watching the game with other people unless my friend group also has $3,500 goggles. This is why I'm most excited right now in terms of fully immersive VR is just give me a dumb display that is reasonably good quality display, that is good enough at tracking my head movements. I'm not going to get motion sickness, because right now the killer app for that is, again, virtual displays. Just speaking personally, as much crap as I give Vision Pro, if I could find an $800 pair of goggles like that, that would be if I happen to be in a year where I was doing lots and lots and lots and lots of travel, I could see me saying, you know what? I've had it with like having to. I want to have a greater experience during these 6-hour transcontinental flights and transoceanic flights I'm having. When I'm set up in a hotel room for 2 or 3 nights, I want to be able to have 2 or 3 displays in front of me without necessarily having to bring 2 or 3 displays with me. I could talk myself into that, and none of that seems to be something that requires $3,500 worth of hardware. Apple, not knowing what the audience was going to be, shot for the moon, because again, if we can only sell a few 100,000 of these, no matter what we do, even if it's a runaway success, we may as well make it the biggest and the best platform that we can, and then scale it back down.
And that's your Vision Pro segment.
Now you see, now you know.
Very good.
We're done talking the Vision Pro.
I would buy. I'm not kidding. If they do F1, and I think they probably will on the Vision Pro, I actually might. Maybe I'll buy one of yours. You got 2 now, right, Jason?
Well, this is an Apple loaner, so it's going to have to go back. But yeah, I'll bring mine up and you can try it out. How about that?
Man, I think that would be so cool. And since I do watch it alone in my private bed chamber, I think I could probably enjoy that. We're going to take a break. When we come back, there are other new Apple products to talk about, and Jason has all the reviews. Don't play that song again, please. I beg of you. Once is enough.
Not again.
You are watching MacBreak Weekly, the #1 premier Vision Pro podcast in the entire world. Our show today brought to you by Framer. If you're still jumping between tools just to update your website, you have my sympathy. You need Framer. Framer unifies design, CMS, and publishing on one canvas. This is kind of super cool. No handoff, no hassle. Everything you need to design and publish in one place. Framer has already built the fastest way to publish beautiful production-ready websites, and it's now redefining how we design for the web with the recent launch of Design Pages, a free canvas-based design tool. Framer's more than a site builder. It's a true all-in-one design platform, from social assets to campaign visuals to vectors and icons, all the way to a live site. Framer is where ideas go live, start to finish. This is design the way you think, design the way you want it, design the way you would do it if you had a modern platform, and now you do. Framer, Framer. It's a free, full-featured design tool. Think unlimited projects, unlimited pages, unlimited collaborators, and all the essentials. You get vectors, you get 3D transforms, gradients, wireframes. I mean, I know people don't believe this. Everything you need to design, totally free. Framer is your entire workflow in one place. No importing Figma stuff, no messy HTML. This is how you want to work. It's faster, it's cleaner, it's more efficient. You can design more than websites. It's really a design tool that lets you create social assets, campaign visuals, icons, site resources, all inside the tool. You've got them now. You can use them anywhere. You don't have to switch back and forth. Framer stands above the others because it's not just a site builder. It's a true design tool that also publishes professional production-ready sites. Ready to design, iterate, and publish all in one tool. Start creating for free at framer.com/design and use the code MacBreak for a free month of Framer Pro. That's framer.com/design and use the promo code MacBreak. Framer.com/design, promo code MacBreak. Rules and restrictions may apply. I think you'll be impressed. All right. MacBook. Most of, by the way, what Apple shipped last week is now
next week. Announced
last week.
Shipping the end of this week.
Ships at the end of this. Ships Friday
or tomorrow, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Anyway, the embargo's lifted, so you've got advanced units.
I do.
Most of it is incremental.
Yes.
Upgrades of existing products using the M5, right?
Exactly. The iPad Pro got updated last spring, spring 24, 18 months ago,
and I love my M4
with
iPad
the new
Pro.
M4 design, and so the M5 iPad Pro is the same as the M4.
Okay, now it's a different screen.
It's a brand new design. I mean, yeah, it's the same. It's the tandem OLED, which is the best screen Apple's ever made.
Gorgeous.
It's super thin, especially the 13 inch is the thinnest thing Apple's ever made. Basically, it is that with the M5 in it, and so the M5 chip is really kind of the story. And the same for the MacBook Pro. They only updated the base model. There's no M5 Pro or M5 Max chip yet. It's just the base. So they decided to roll out that base 14-inch MacBook Pro as an M5 as well. But again, that's a design that's been around for a while. That was in the M1 generation that design started, and it's got the really bright display with the notch in it. It's really a really good Mac display. It's got ProMotion.
It's not as good as the iPad.
It's not as good as the iPad, and the rumor is...
It's funny, I find myself using the iPad Pro just because the screen's better.
No, the screen's the best screen that Apple's made, I think, period. But the rumor is that the MacBook Pro is going to get its update maybe in a year with the M6 generation, where they will have some things that are different, including Mark Gurman says a touch screen. So
and an OLED touchscreen, although not OLED. Tandem OLED, right?
Yeah,
Single layer.
Well, yeah, it's interesting, the decisions that they have to make. So anyway, this is a generation for both of them. I think the iPad Pro, it's going to be a while. For the MacBook Pro, it may be next year, but this is an interim step, and the changes are minor because of that. The chip is the biggest change. If we throw in the other chips in the iPad Pro, they are also a big change because it's using Apple's chip for Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and it's using Apple's cellular chip in the iPad Pro for the first time. And so, I am not a wireless tester, but I did do some wireless testing in a difficult wireless environment, which is my backyard, where there's no Verizon and no T-Mobile and only a little bit of AT&T. And what I found is basically Apple's chip for me in my testing was slightly slower at downloads, like 10% slower, and it was like 7 times faster at uploads. So in my backyard, in a couple of days, it did pretty well. I would say
it even picked up Verizon, which you
and
could
it
never
got a
get,
bar
right?
from Verizon and pulled down some data. And I'll tell you,
Wow.
everybody who comes to my house who's like a solar installer or a plumber or whatever, they're like, can I get your Wi-Fi password? Because they can't. They're Verizon. I like, Verizon, huh? Because it doesn't show here, and they managed to get a little data through even in my backyard on
Impressive.
Verizon. So that was pretty good. So that's
But
nice.
that
And the
new
Wi-Fi
modem
7
and
is
M1 chip
fast.
are not in the MacBook Pro. They're only in the iPad. Is that
so
right?
I mean, my review on 6 Colors, I took my shots. I think that now that we live in a world where Apple's got its own chips that do those things, why does the MacBook Pro not support Wi-Fi 7? Why does it not support Bluetooth 6? Why does it not have a cellular option? Like, they're probably waiting for a redesign next year. But like, I think we got to call them on it. Like, you make your own cellular chip now. Cellular's been in the iPad since day one, and you still don't make cellular Macs. And I just think it's stupid. I think it's a choice people should have. I buy a cellular iPad because having that cellular tethering is
so
a
great.
very nice fallback.
Yeah.
But it's not as fast.
It uses another device's battery.
Yep.
It's not as fast. It can be finicky. Having it on device, having used the cellular iPad for a while, I'm a believer. It's great. I would love to have it on a laptop. And now that Apple makes their own, they have even less excuse not to do it. So that's kind of a bummer. And Wi-Fi 7 as well. Like the Wi-Fi speeds I can get on the M5 iPad Pro, very impressive because they're using the Wi-Fi 7 router that I have here, and that's an upgrade that the MacBook Pro doesn't get. So that's kind of a bummer. And then the M5 is exactly what they said it was. It's exactly what we found the A19 to be in the iPhone, which is, the CPU core goes up 10% in speed every year, it seems like, but the GPU went up more. They threw in some machine learning accelerators. So if you're running machine learning processes, there are APIs you can write to, some of which are out now and some of which are forthcoming. They're updating all their MLX frameworks and things that a lot of stuff that's machine learning based that uses GPUs will be like maybe 2-3 times as fast as it is now. But it's the same old story. Most of the ML applications that people use are in the cloud, not on device. And so they won't see any difference there. But Apple's hoping over time that their processors are so powerful that more people will use them for on-device machine learning tasks, because then it's local. Your data never leaves your computer, and we'll see if they're successful at that. They've certainly got the chips to do the job. So, yeah. So that's basically it.
I like Mark Gurman. I'm going to wait till next year. I'm going to get an M6, and I want an OLED screen.
I think
I want touch.
Yeah,
believe it or not.
I think there's if you're in the market for a MacBook Pro today, I actually was thinking about this.
Should you wait for the M5 Ultra? Pro or Max?
I think the curse of Apple Silicon for Apple is that it's so good that it actually makes it hard to sell high-end systems. And these higher end MacBook Pros are starting to feel more and more niche to me. Like, it used to be the low-end MacBook Pro was like, that's not a MacBook Pro. It doesn't have that extra port or that screen or whatever. Remember, it was kind of a lesser computer that they slapped the label on. But today I look at this M5 MacBook Pro and I think, how many people really need a faster processor?
You know
than the
where
M5?
I would disagree with you is AI.
Oh, sure. I mean,
Local
that's,
AI.
When I say
and not many people are doing local AI.
when I say niche,
but those who are really
when I
find
see
the
niche,
higher end stuff
yes, I think that's true. And given the GPU acceleration on the base M5, if you're a GPU AI person, I've got to assume that with so many more GPU cores on an M5 Pro or M5 Max, that those things will be screamers when it comes to GPU machine learning stuff. But I think for regular people,
even your benchmarks of the M5 showed fairly improved NPU.
Oh yeah, the M5 in machine learning on GPU is really impressive if you use the ML accelerators that are in the GPU now.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to be said for that. I think for a lot of regular people, maybe that base model MacBook Pro is fine. And the question I have about the M6, if it truly has OLED and touch and all of that, is I wonder if the M6 MacBook Pros will be the higher end ones, and that this one won't inherit that design right away for margin reasons, basically, to keep a low priced MacBook Pro in the line. But it's a good computer. I question how many people need it and not just a MacBook Air, honestly, because the MacBook Air will presumably get the M5 in the spring too. And I mean, I know it's not quite the same.
This is a MacBook Air with more ports, basically, right?
More ports, better screen,
maybe some more
and
RAM.
a fan.
And a fan.
Those are sort of the big ones. More ports,
And the
better
fan
screen,
means
a
it
better
can
battery, and a fan. So it'll run.
Fan means it can run faster because it doesn't.
Even with the same chip, it'll run a little bit faster.
Yeah.
But the MacBook Air, you trade some of that in for thin and light and really nice. So it
I have
depends
to
on
say
your,
though,
on
these
your
MacBook
priorities.
Pros are still pretty thin and light. I mean, they're not massive machines. They really look good.
They're really nice.
Especially when you pose them next to a phaser.
Okay, so there's a classic Star Trek episode where there's AI that's trying to take people's jobs and is actually very bad. How timely. And it's called the M5. It's the ultimate computer.
Oh, man.
And when they announced the M1, I was like, well, in 5 years, I'm going to make a lot of Star Trek references. And today, friends, today is the day. So that picture that you were showing on our video feed, not only is there a phaser next to it, but the wallpaper on there, that is the M5 computer from Star Trek. So.
Oh, man, I missed the whole joke.
Yep, that's it. That's it. The ultimate computer was the name of that episode, which is also the headline of my story. So,
man, you're really going deep on this.
I'm done now.
How many people recognize that?
They're older people recognize it, I guess. That's what we're left with now. So yeah, my iPad review has a little communicator. John Moltz, my friend, John Moltz.
Did he get it?
He 3D printed those the communicator and the phaser for me.
Oh, nice.
That I used as props in this, and then I will also have at Halloween, and I could be Captain Pike for Halloween.
Are you going to be Captain Pike?
I am going to be Captain.
You're
Pike
going to be the
Halloween.
healthy.
I got the gray
Captain
hair.
Pike,
I got the gray hair, so I can't be Captain Kirk. I got to be Captain.
You got to be Pike.
Yep.
Wow. If I were going to do that, I'd probably do Honeymooners references. So it's probably best.
Well, you're older than me.
Don't. Yes.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. I encourage you, especially, I encourage people to find the Ultimate Computer episode of Star Trek. It's on Paramount Plus here in the U.S. It is really interesting because I think what they're trying to talk about primarily is the idea that the threat in the 60s, like, are computers going to replace people? So it's sort of about replacing labor and automating. I think it has its heart in in factories and like being concerned that factories are going to replace laborers with machines. But I'll tell you, it has added resonance today if you think about AI, the idea that there's this smart computer that's going to take Captain Kirk's job. And guess what? It starts blowing things up. It's actually really bad, and they got to shut it off. And that's what the episode is. So I think it's a timely watch for today.
And throughout the biggest failing is that throughout the entire episode, that computer did not try to hit on any of the female ensigns even once. Not even like a little bit of a pass.
You know what? I love our audience.
You don't know that.
Our audience is so in tune. Oscar Castillo in YouTube says, well, Dr. Daystrom went mad, but he loved his M5.
He did. He loved it so much.
And Out of Sync says it's Daystrom's ultimate computer.
The ultimate computer. Yeah.
People remember this stuff. I'm impressed.
I've been waiting since I was 5 years old. I've been waiting for this day.
M5, baby. And you're going to be the healthy Pike, not the face melted version.
I'm going to sit in a chair with beeps. Maybe at the end of the night, I'll be really tired.
By then,
I'll just sit
enough
in a chair
candy, your
with
face
some
will
beeps.
melt.
No, I'm going to be our active Strange New Worlds Captain Pike. Anson Mount is my model.
No, I know this is a potential red hole, but didn't it bother anybody else watching that for the first time that all they could wire him up for is yes or no? It made me think as though they didn't want to hire this actor in a speaking role.
Oh, he wasn't saved on scale.
He wasn't available. That's the thing. Is the original act. The reason he's in the chair at all is because Jeffrey Hunter would not come back to be in another episode. He was in the pilot. and then they did the new pilot with William Shatner, and so he was kind of
supposed
fired.
to be the official captain, yeah.
And so they made it look sort of like him and the beeps, and they didn't want him to talk and all. But yeah, you think advanced technology, if you could wire enough into the brain to beep, you could probably get like a speech synthesizer.
They could have hired someone to like actually read the lines and sort of even in a computer voice. I think it was like a money thing. I think they didn't want to hire a voice actor to have to pay them like union scale for a speaking role.
Wow, you guys spend way too much time.
I mean, Gene Roddenberry was a cheapskate, so it's possible.
About this.
he's also the guy who like wrote fake lyrics to the theme song just so we could take half of the royalties, steal half the royalties from the composer.
That's right.
Yep.
Okay.
Any questions? Any more questions about Star Trek and/or Apple
M5?
Computers? Yes. Either way, I'll take it.
It does
as
seem
you
like
say in your review, no one should consider the M5 iPad Pro if you've got an M4 iPad Pro, right? There's no.
Yeah, I feel like if you've got an iPad Pro with an M on it, you're probably okay.
Yeah.
Also,
well, it's faster. I mean, it's surprisingly faster.
It is faster, and with iPad OS 26, I think the truth is we've reached the point where I no longer need to write an iPad review and say it's great hardware let down by software, because the software is way more capable, and Apple has added a bunch of functionality to it that makes it a much more plausibly professional device than it was a few years ago. And so I think that it's got a lot going for it, and it's got more RAM on all the configurations, not just for AI stuff, but also because there's a multi-window mode where you've got a whole bunch of different windows open at once, and you actually need RAM for that. So it's fast, it's impressive. I think if you got an M4 or even an M2 and probably an M1, you're fine. And the other fact is it's expensive. It costs basically what a MacBook Pro costs ish. And I would say the iPad Air is basically what the iPad Pro was a couple years ago, honestly. And I think I have a hard time recommending the iPad Pro because for people who they need it. I don't think anybody needs the iPad Pro. I think the iPad Pro at this point, given what it costs and given some of its really, really nice features, it's very much buy this because you really want the nicest iPad. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I don't think it's actually really much more capable than an iPad Air. It's more like you pay for it because it's super thin. It's got that amazing screen.
I think the screen might be worth it. I really love that.
That's the reason you buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
and it's hugely expensive. We should point out it is more than a MacBook Pro. I mean, it's
especially when you
depends
add
on what you buy,
the keyboard.
Yeah.
I mean, I justified I think that it can be justified. Again, we're getting back to if you happen to have $3,500 and this seems to work for you, but I justified my M1 iPad Pro by realizing that I do a lot of travel in which I need a bridge device. I don't necessarily need to bring an entire laptop with me. And also that I felt as though it was going to fill a lot of different niches, particularly with continuity and its tandem features with my MacBook. It's going to be a really interesting year next year. This is if I've been very, very close to upgrading my M1 MacBook Pro and my M1 iPad Pro over the past year. Now I'm really kind of eager to wait until next year, only because these two devices still suit the purposes that I want them to serve, and they also still run OS 26 without any problems. So that's not a reason, but also that there's going to be such motion over the next year over the future of the Mac as a platform. I mean, we're seeing Gurman has been saying, okay, there's going to be a touch, and other supply chain analysts have been talking about, there's going to be a touchscreen MacBook coming up next year or the year after that. I don't know how to deal with those rumors because it seems like something where Apple would have to have a really long runway to make that happen, and you would think that we see some signs of shifts in how they're moving the UI towards that. I'm not sure we're seeing that, and I'm also not sure how iPad OS and Mac OS can coexist if you have a really, really attractive touchscreen, super slim MacBook in the lineup alongside a comparably priced iPad Pro that now has the same kind of UI in front of it, can run a lot of the same apps in different ways. I think that as always, you hold off until you see a device that makes you think, wow, my life will be a lot simpler and I can do a lot more things if I buy this new thing instead of staying with the old thing. But I also think that 2026 is going to be a really interesting year.
Yeah, I would just say, I think the big difference will remain the fact that the laptop is a laptop. And it's shaped only like a laptop, and you can't tear the screen off of it. And that is, in my opinion, the number one reason why the iPad Pro is so great, is because it can be a laptop when you want it to be, but you can also just tear it off and make it a touch tablet, and it works great like that too. Also unknown if they'll do like Apple Pencil support, but even if they did, I can't really imagine using an Apple Pencil in a laptop configuration where you're kind of leaning over. So the shape of the device is very different, even if they've got some things in common. And that's, I mean, in my iPad review, that's one of the things that I wrote is I feel like the iPad, ironically, is now more Mac-like at a time when it's no longer it needs to be the replacement for the Mac that I think that they thought it was for a while. I think that it gets to be its own thing and take things from the Mac when it makes sense. And I think the Mac is going to be its own thing and take things from the iPad where it makes sense. But unless, I mean, look, if Apple makes a convertible MacBook Pro that turns into a tablet, then I think we have a problem. Or maybe it's great, but it certainly is an identity crisis. But I think if all it is a laptop with a place you can touch to do some scrolling and stuff, I don't think it's a big crisis.
Yeah, exactly. It's like if you're just saying here's a MacBook that's acts as a classic MacBook, only now you can do the thing where you sort of like are sitting at the table and you're just hugging like this and using your thumbs to scroll and occasionally tapping things because sometimes you've been using your phone for a while and you find yourself tapping on a non-touch screen, then what's the point of it? So if Apple really is developing this, if they really are targeting this for 2026 or shipping late to 2027, I hope it becomes something like a yoga configuration where it is like a permanent mechanical hinge, but you can flip the screen all the way to the other side and either hold it like a tablet or in your lap or use it as a sort of an easel that's on your table for all the reasons why an easel works out really well. Yeah, so it's hard to figure out. That's not I'm not saying I doubt it exists. It's just that in October of 2025, I feel as though the Apple world and their understanding of what the product line is would have to change a hell of a lot in the next 10 to 12 months for us to see that happen. I can't imagine. I don't think, all I'm saying.
I don't think it will happen. I think that Apple, I think if you asked an Apple person and they were being honest, they would say, we think making a convertible Mac laptop makes the laptop so much worse that we would rather just make a really great laptop that we've been good at making for the last 15 years. And if you want something that's convertible, there's the iPad, and they're converging in terms of features, but they're coming at it from different directions and they do different things. And I mean, I love the iPad, but one of the reasons I love it is, and I love my Mac too, right? So like if I could get two great tastes that taste great together, that would be great. But I think if you asked Apple, they'd say, we like our MacBook laptops to be good laptops, not kind of, because if you look at those convertibles, weird physics considerations go into them, right? Where they're thicker or they've got weird weighting issues or things like that. And my guess is that they're going to say, nope, we'll give you a touch screen so you can like scroll and tap and do those things, but we're not going to let you fold it over backwards.
Yeah, I mean, this would have been a great idea 8, 9, 10 years ago when Tim was saying, oh no, this would be like having a toaster fridge. These two things don't go together. While all the time in the Windows world, Dell and Samsung and others were saying, no, actually, this is a really great thing that people love and we sell a lot. So we sell enough of them that we keep like making more versions of these.
But everybody's
I think they waved at that bus 10 years ago and they could have. The other problem is that Apple is the sole supplier of all the laptops and manufacturer of all of the Mac laptops that exist. Yes. Whereas Dell and Samsung can say, you know what, we have 10 or 12 or 15 or 18 laptops in our lineup, and we're going to be putting 3 or 4 of them into this mode where they are detachable screens or they're yoga screens or touch screens because there are enough people who are buying laptops that we can serve those people who want them. Whereas Apple has to say, yeah, we don't want to have something that we don't dare call it like we don't give it a number or product name because we don't want to telegraph the fact that it's been 4 years since we've updated this because there aren't enough buyers for it.
Dell and Samsung also don't have access to a viable tablet operating system, and that's one of the differences. Is when you're a Windows licensee, you make Windows convertibles. If you're Apple and you've got the Mac and the iPad as separate operating systems, it's very easy to see the world as separate. And I'm not saying that either view is lesser. I'm saying that if you've got if you've got a flathead screwdriver, you do one thing, and if you've got a Phillips screwdriver, you would do your view is different based on your priors, right? Apple's got two operating systems, so they make two products. A Windows licensee has one, and so they make a convertible.
And also to give justice to both Google and Microsoft, they both, Google particularly, they did a smashing job updating the UI so that it makes sense. If you deploy this on a touchscreen device, it feels like a touchscreen device. If you have this on a traditional desktop, it feels like it makes sense on a traditional desktop. And it's not as though there are two different modes. They just simply designed a design language where this makes total sense, whereas Apple has not done that's part of the sweat equity that I'm talking about, where I would have if Apple were really deciding that nope, we've got the target date, we're going to try to ship it in 2026, failing that 2027. I feel as though if they'd gone through all the trouble of designing a brand new user interface design language for OS 26, we would have seen those kind of little early signals of, this feels like it could really work well for touch spots on this display, even though it's not a touch display. And I'm not seeing that yet. So Microsoft and Samsung, Microsoft and Google, again, knowing that they have to satisfy OEMs that have to build all the hardware that everybody's going to know, we're very, very motivated to decide that, well, we don't want to produce a sidecar version of Android or a sidecar version of Windows just for touchscreens. I mean, Windows did that and failed absolutely abjectly. We're going to create a brand new design language that suits both cases and works very, very well. So it's, again, I think that, again, if Apple had gone on this path 10 years ago, I think they could have done something very, very interesting. And the iPad could be along the lines of like the iPhone Touch, where it's mostly a content consumption device. Yeah, we have some big iPhone apps that are available on it, but no one's going to be spending $1,000 for a productivity-oriented version of this device. This is just a $300 thing to play games on and watch movies on and read the web on. That's the reality I think we'd be facing had they made that choice 10 years ago. Right now, they've got two very, 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 very mature operating systems that can coexist very, very nicely.
We're going to take a little break. We want to welcome Retcon5 back into our chat room. He says it's not M5 on Star Trek, it's M-5. Let's get that straight.
I put the screenshot in there. It's actually M and then almost like a little dot or something, and then a 5 in the stylized screenshot. So you do you.
The pedantic among us just want to let you know it's not exactly the same. More to come in just a bit, including, yes, we may not have seen all the products Apple has to ship this year. What else might be they up to? We'll talk about that in just a little bit. Mark Gurman has some thoughts. You're watching MacBreak Weekly. Alex Lindsay has the week off, but of course, Jason Snell is here from 6colors.com. That's where all his reviews are and the benchmarks to 6colors.com. Andy Anako also here. It's great to have both of you talking about Apple. Our show today brought to you by our friends at Outsystems. Outsystems. They're the leading AI-powered application and agent development platform. And they've been doing this for as long as we've been doing this. For more than 20 years, the mission of Outsystems is to give every company the power to innovate through software. But Outsystems does not rest on their laurels like we do. Outsystems is always improving. And now they've got AI, and this is a very exciting moment in time. IT teams, this is the old, story. They have two choices. The old build versus buy conundrum. You can buy off-the-shelf SaaS products for speed, but you lose flexibility. You lose differentiation. Or you can build custom software, but that's going to cost you time and resources. AI has now given us a way for a third path. It's the fusion of AI, low-code, and DevSecOps automation into a single development platform. That's Outsystems. Your team will build custom applications With the help of AI agents, they'll do it as easily as buying generic off-the-shelf sameware. And because it's OutSystems, flexibility, security, and scalability come built right in standard. So you get AI-powered, low-code opportunities. Your team can build custom, future-proof applications really as fast as you could buy. With fully automated architecture, security integrations, data flow, and permissions, that's all built in. OutSystems is the last platform you need to buy because you can use it to build anything. You can even use it to customize and extend your existing core systems. It's pretty amazing. Build your future with OutSystems. Visit outsystems.com/twit to learn more. That's outsystems.com/TWIT. Deploy apps and agents worldwide. Deliver innovation with OutSystems. Outsystems.com/twit. It's a perfect marriage. It is. So what is still perhaps on the agenda? I remember Mark Gurman saying Apple has 5 products that they could ship by the end of 2025. We've seen the first 3 M5 based Vision Pro, MacBook Pro, and iPad Pro. What about the HomePod?
What about the HomePod, the Apple TV, the new AirTags? I think it's possible we'll see those in the next. I think they got about a week. I think they've got until their results, which is a week from Thursday. If not, then my guess is next year. I think. Yeah, that's it.
I mean, we've been hearing consistent rumors that Apple is preparing kind of an overhaul or almost a relaunch of their entire home world of products. And it's possible that they say, well, why are we just doing an incremental update to our $100 HomePod that the people who are interested in it already have one. They're not particularly interested in a slightly better version of that. Why don't we introduce this when we're trying to get attention for the entire platform of, hey, we've got this new device with a screen that has our smart assistant, and hey, we're not even making air quotes around the word smart. It's actually, we've got it up and running, and it's really, really working great. And we've got security cameras, we've got a whole bunch of other home stuff. They may as well release a constellation of products rather than try to get people excited about HomePod.
Not dribble it out, huh? Yeah, show something fully formed. Gurman says that Apple plans to team with BYD. That's a name you might know from very popular EVs in China. You can't buy them in the U.S., but BYDs are huge in China. BYD also manufactures, and they will, according to Gurman, take over manufacture and assembly. There'll be final assembly, testing, and packaging, and they'll be doing it in Vietnam, not China. So this, he says, Apple to build tabletop robot. I wish they wouldn't call it a robot, but all right. And Home Hub in Vietnam. So he's talking about 2 different products. For the upcoming Home Hub, it's going to look like basically a HomePod Mini with a screen glued on top of it, according to Gurman. The hardware was completed nearly a year ago, he says, with a 7-inch square-shaped display, originally slated to come out this past spring, because that was when the new Siri voice assistant was supposed to come out. So now he says it isn't going to be this year. It's going to be spring 2026, which I think I agree with you guys makes a lot more sense. That's when the new Siri, in theory, will be coming out. There are 2 versions. The codename J490 is that one I was talking about with a display on a HomePod Mini base. The J491 is designed to be hung on the wall, which makes a lot of sense. That's what a lot of people do now with their Home Assistant tablet displays for home automation. Hang it on the wall. You can have it when you come in the door. You can have it maybe in the bedroom or the living room. Both devices will have a FaceTime camera built in, a software interface that dynamically adjusts depending on who's using it. The software will recognize users when they approach the display. Amazon's already doing that with their Echo display. So is Google with their displays. This has been around for some time. That's the funny thing. Apple targeting, according again to Gurman, none of this confirmed by Apple, $350 for the new device, which is more expensive even than the the big boy HomePod. And he says far above competing products from Amazon and Google.
Yeah, if all they do is apply Apple privacy to a smart display, they've already got a big win.
I would abandon all of my Echoes and all of my Google devices if Apple had a compelling. The problem is the voice assistant, and there is still trouble in paradise when it comes to that.
Especially because Google just did such a really good flex with putting Google Gemini attached to their smart assistants and their home devices. That now you can ask a camera things like, "Hey, what time did my kid get home, and did they leave the garage door open again?" And it will just simply answer the question. Or every morning at 6 a.m. if every morning at 6 a.m. I want you to turn on all the lights in the house except for the ones on the first floor, and it will actually understand that and do it and figure out how to do automations for you automatically. That's a big that's where a lot of people, I think, might think that, Apple's privacy is much, much better than Google's, but Google's smart assistant is much, much better than their privacy is worse.
Yeah. I also don't think, I know I have the, I won't say it out loud, the A-word A-word Plus on my Amazon devices. It is not impressive. It is awful. It's not any much better than the Echo, original Echo assistant. And I haven't yet tried the Google Gemini enabled ones. You have, I presume.
Not yet, no.
No. So I think they promise a lot, but I think it's hard to do.
Well, it's hard to do, but they do tend to actually deliver. Maybe not on day one with their AI stuff, but by the time they start getting people using these things, and they've got, again, those faceless, underpaid human people who are evaluating how well these things work and are retraining the model to work even better. Again, I use Gemini like several times a day. There's always at least a couple of windows open with Gemini, and the stuff that it was not very good at even 6 months ago are now just 100% spot on reliable.
Oh, good.
So as a result, I simply have a lot of faith in. I have a lot of faith in Gemini that if it doesn't work great right now, it will probably work better in a few weeks' time. So unlike other chatbots, it's like, okay, I've got these apps, I've got these accounts. Occasionally I dip into them to see how much better they are than they used to be, but I've never seen enough of an improvement to think that, I'm definitely going to have an app like that on my phone 24/7. I'm definitely going to have a couple of windows like that open because it's just that useful, whereas Gemini tends to come through.
Yeah. Apple is losing more AI talent. Another executive, Kay Yang, who was recently appointed to lead Apple's AI-driven web search effort, has gone to Meta, according to Mark Gurman. Just more defections like crazy. This is the Apple Answers Knowledge and Information Group, which was supposed to make Siri smarter. It's getting dumber.
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of, when we started hearing stuff like this, there were a lot of explanations that we could put into the pot, including, well, Apple can't compete with these wonderful job offers because they are not an AI first company. Okay, that's rational. Or Apple has chosen which parts of its team it wants to keep and which parts it's willing to let go. Okay, again, rational. But the thing is, it's been such a regular drumbeat of
team members is a lot.
We really have to keep on a separate little pedestal with a light on it. Maybe things at Apple are not really going well in terms of AI, and they're still looking for their car keys, so to speak.
Gurman also says Apple is interviewing replacements for JG, John Giannandrea, who was at the time the big get from Google and put in charge of AI and Siri, and he's been slowly moved, to the back burner, and now apparently they're looking to replace him.
That one, they were an amazing fit, and the only reason why Google lost them is because they did that big reorganization of saying, okay, is the head of our AI going to be the Google guy who's been doing this all along, or is it going to be the head of DeepMind, this company that we're now integrating fully into the company? Somebody had to lose, and it was John Drea. That's the one where it's like, you know what, maybe as he was such an early acquisition, maybe he just wasn't a good fit, or he had a vision that was going to work in a structure like Google, but was not going to work for Apple. That one I'm not quite so worried about. It's this regular drip of, okay, another AI team member left. Okay, another AI team member left. Another AI team member left. That's what gets me really, really worried, that if Apple is going to ship a brand new smart assistant by spring and it's going to be good, a lot of people will be very pleasantly surprised. I will be very pleasantly surprised. I wish the best for them. I also realize that Apple does not have to achieve nearly as much as Gemini or OpenAI does, or a whole bunch of these other companies have to, because they're not an AI first company. But nonetheless, I will be pleasantly surprised if the new, I'm not saying the name, but if the new smart assistant ships in the spring and it is nearly as good as anybody thinks it has to be in order to be an actual, like, something they put on the website saying, hey, here's a feature of your iPhone that you're going to use and love.
I mean, we'll see, and it explains why they're also talking to partners. I'll just say I got a couple points here. One is Mark Gurman is obviously very tied into these people leaving. People leave Apple all the time, but Mark Gurman doesn't write stories about them. He writes stories about this because he thinks that this is a narrative that people want to hear about, and he's got sources that are watching as these people leave. And the other thing I'll just say is these are the people who failed to ship a good model.
Right.
And as a result, they got people got fired or retasked and are on the outs, and Apple changed who's in charge and is changing their approach. So I don't know these people. I don't know how good they are, but I will say this. It's not surprising that people are leaving Apple when they've basically been told, you failed and we're going to try something different. And who knows what I don't know is who is working on Apple's next generation of models, because a lot of these people are also in model research, where it's like bad for Apple's long-term foundation model future, but not necessarily at the implementation of what they're trying to build for the spring. So I agree it sounds bad, but I want to just do a little footnote of things happen all the time that don't get reported by Mark Gurman, but this fits a narrative and it fits his sources. And two, let's not forget that these are the people who built the models that didn't work. And maybe it's not their fault, and maybe they were a bad fit for Apple, and Apple's looking at this wrong. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying I'm not surprised that the people who are perceived as having made the product that didn't work right are leaving. Right. Because that's a bad, because if you're that person, you're like, wasn't us, we did what we were asked. They aren't grateful for our work. I'm out of here. I'm valuable and Meta wants to pay me lots of money. I'm just going to leave. Like, I feel like in some ways this was inevitable, because what happened is Apple basically said, you blew it. We're scrapping it and putting new people in charge. And at that point, that team's going to leave. They're going to leave.
Yeah, but again, there's so many things that we have. I'm sorry, I know that my frames are dropping. I'll reset after I make my pithy comment.
Just be very still while you do it.
Exactly. We have to be very, very aware. You're absolutely right. We have to be very, very aware that many, many things are possible, and all of this is conjecture. And one of the things that is possible is that Apple's AI strategy is so messed up that it is just simply not an atmosphere in which great, ambitious AI projects can succeed. For sure. And one of the things they're learning is that, okay, we didn't allocate enough resources here, we didn't have enough personnel here, or we thought we hired the right kind of person. We don't need that kind of expertise. We need this kind of expertise. And if we thought that we could do this just by simply renting out compute, that's not going to work. We're actually going to have to start taking the reins there. At some point, I'm sure that in 5 or 10 years' time, on a computer history page, we will learn exactly what was going on and what a colorful time it was between 2022 and 2026 to try to get AI going. And once again, as fun as it is to talk about this sort of stuff, and there's no Schadenfreude involved in this discussion, but not only that, again, Apple is not an AI first company. They are not betting the farm on AI. They just simply have to make sure that their hardware and their operating systems are as coherent with AI and are as relevant in an AI world as any other platform. And also, they still have some time before people demonstrate that, no, I'm not going to buy an iPhone because I'm going to buy this Android phone because this Android phone has it has all the AI features that I absolutely love and count on that are part of the operating system and are not simply an app that I can download from just about anywhere and run on just about anything. So Apple has time to fix this. I just hope that they fix it.
How about AirTags? Should I not buy any new AirTags, or should? How soon
They've
is
been
that
out for
gonna
so
be?
long. I would say, do you need an AirTag? If you
I don't
do, you
need
should
to
just
do it.
buy an AirTag. If you
Yeah.
don't, then don't.
Yeah.
And then eventually they'll get updated. I think
Yeah.
it's okay. I think they'll, I'm sure they'll be better in some way, but I think they're fine as it is. And if you've got a pressing need, you should. I mean, if you need an AirTag tomorrow, you should buy
buy
an
one.
AirTag.
The prices are going down too. I mean, it's
Sure.
cheaper than ever. So yeah,
Sure,
yeah,
they're
yeah.
nice.
Yeah,
I probably need an AirTag. I should probably do that sometime. I'll
They're
wait.
good.
I think I can wait a little while, but
yeah. Well,
put them in your bags.
how much better could they be? I mean, how different could they be? It's
Exactly. I
gonna
mean,
be-
the future of the platform is an interesting question. Like, can Apple make it better by making it more sensitive and making it easier to get more pinpoint? Oh, not only is it in your sofa, but I can tell you which cushion is actually underneath.
Well, that's
from a distance
useful.
10 feet away. I mean, that's useful. But or can they simply say, guess what? Now now you get 6 for $100, or now the minimum cost is $15, and so you can actually afford to not have to decide which of my 4 children's backpacks do I want to be have more recoverable. Or you can say no, every kid's bike, every kid's backpack, everything that is could get lost that would break my heart if it got stolen, I'm going to put an AirTag on.
Yeah. What else was going to come out? There were a few other
Apple
things.
TV.
Oh, Apple
box
TV
update. Who knows?
I am all in on Apple TV. I use it like crazy. I don't need any new features, but if Apple releases a new one, I'd probably get it.
It's funny. There are 1,000 things that I would improve about the Apple TV. I am so frustrated that they haven't made it better. They seem to just not prioritize it. That all said, it is the best product in its category
By
far.
By far.
Everybody else is obsessed with selling you something cheap, and they are cheaper, that will sell you products or consume your data or watch what you're watching. That seems to be the business model that almost everybody else has. Disappointingly, because I did this, we talked about it, 6 months ago. I bought all these streaming boxes and I found out that Amazon's really great, except that everything is marketing
It's an
at you
ad.
and I
Yeah.
couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
And that the Google box is really good, but I think Google is not going to make it anymore, which is sad because I thought the Google one was almost as good as the Apple TV.
I have
If
the
you're in the
NVIDIA
Google
Shield, which is a remarkable device,
Yeah.
but I still use the Apple TV.
Yeah,
all the
I think maybe the NVIDIA Shield is the best other product other than the Apple TV in
Yeah,
this
same
this market.
price too, by the way.
But the Apple TV, it's really good, but I wish it was so much better. And
Mostly
yet,
that's software,
I
though,
can't-
right? Is it a hardware complaint?
no,
or
it's
is it a-
tvOS.
Yeah,
It's
software.
like all of Apple's products now. It's totally over-engineered. It's got more power than it can do. It can do with anything, right? That's not the problem. The problem is that on the software side, they just don't seem to be doing anything. And if looking at what Google and Amazon have done on their interface side, Apple TV seems kind of old and behind the times. It has this non-unified interface where it's kind of got a TV app over here that's sort of the home screen, but also the app interface over here, which is sort of from back when the future of TV is apps, which it isn't anymore, I guess. But I wish it was better. They don't have good coverage of live. There's so much stuff that is live streaming on fast channels, and they just basically don't do it. There's a whole litany of things. The Apple TV should be so much better, which is why when you brought up Apple TV, Leo, I wanted to say, oh, it's so good. It's like, no, it's not so good.
Not. You're right.
It is the best variants.
Yeah, my problem with it is just that it's not 120. You can have $129 streaming box in your product lineup when your cheapest streaming box is $129. You need to figure out how to make that same device for $50 or $60 for 100. When you compare, the biggest difference is that you get a serious amount of storage. If Alex were here, he would talk all about the video codecs and all the different things it does to give you a better picture. My reaction would be, yeah, but I've got a TV that works great that I paid $400 for. It works well enough. when we talked about the NVIDIA Shields, like for their amount of money that you get, their $149 box, the 120 gig storage Apple TV 4K, they will give you something. They will give you a box that will actually like upscale like HD content into 4K and do it extremely well, and give you a whole bunch of extra features that the Apple box doesn't really give you. And I think they'll give you a comparable amount of storage or even more storage than that. In addition to having USB ports, so that if you want to add on more storage and run like a media server on it, you can do that as well. I think we can all agree that the Roku streaming sticks and the Amazon streaming sticks are kind of are just legitimate trash.
They're trashy.
But but you can buy streaming sticks from Google that aren't trash and cost like, and we'll give you 4K streaming for $50 or less. And no, it doesn't have 64 gigs of storage. There might be a point at which you have to decide which is the 14th or 12th app that you can install on this without removing a different app. But the thing is, for people who just, hey, I'm willing to spend $150 for the box that's in my living room on the really good set, but I just want something in the bedroom. I just want something in the kids' room, and I don't necessarily need to feel as though I need to spend $130 for it.
You said needs to. Apple needs to. Apple doesn't need to, right? Apple seems perfectly happy selling a 129 streamer box and leaving it at that. I think we would all love it if a company that cares about the people buying their products and not using it as part of a multi-tiered surveillance and or marketing strategy could be down there. Other than Google, like I said, I think Google, I think I read something that Google's commitment to the streamer box is fading, which is really disappointing because it was the best I tested outside of the Apple TV. I think we would all agree it would sure be nice if regular consumers had access to a decent streaming stick or box that didn't surveil their viewing, that didn't endlessly try to upsell them or market products to them like Amazon and Roku. That would be nice. I don't, and honestly, Andy, like I said, it's so overpowered. I really don't understand why there isn't a base model Apple TV OS object that you could purchase for, let's say, $79, right? Like they don't have to, and they don't care to go down there, but like, I don't see how it kneecap the product to be a little bit lesser, just to give them like every F1 fan who maybe they think, Apple TV, the app is on every connected TV and stuff, so they don't actually have to sell an Apple TV box. But it would be really nice if you're picking up a whole sport in the United States, if you had a really nice, affordable thing for you to stick on that TV that you watch F1 on that had Apple's whole ecosystem on it that they could use, and that wasn't $129. I share your frustration there, but I would say that at $129, the Apple TV is not a terrible deal. It does do a lot of good things. It's just that it is disappointing that that's where you have to go if you want a product that is not devoted to surveilling you or marketing to you.
Yeah, I get. If I did say they have to, doesn't sound like something. I'm not sure I said that, but if I did, if I did, then that was incorrect. What I meant to say is that it limits the reach of the device, and it's kind of clueless to think that no, $129 is what people are willing. Again, there's a reason why people are buying these $30 sticks. It's not because they're idiots who don't care about privacy. It's not because they're not annoyed by the ads that are in a Fire TV stick. It's because they look at all the devices that are available to them. All of these things are hanging off of pegs or behind glass at Walmart or Best Buy or whatever, and they're saying, $129 is not a worthwhile investment for me for the TV that again is in the kid's bedroom. It's like
I could buy Roku for 4K Roku for $30, right? Like that's and I don't expect Apple to sell a 4K box for $30, right? Of course, but for $70, for $50, for $60, is there something there? It would be nice if they were able to do that, because that platform, even though I've said I have a list of complaints, so many complaints, it is really good. It is very good, and it treats you with respect, right? And it is a shame that the people who are buying these devices are stuck with the boxes that don't treat them with respect.
And if you aren't going to buy an Apple TV, I have to say the Google TV is
It's
probably
good.
the next best.
Especially
thing.
if you're in the Google, I would say if you're in the Google ecosystem deep, if you use YouTube TV to watch your TV channels.
Who doesn't? I mean, you have to live in the Google ecosystem if you watch YouTube at all.
But I'm saying if you use YouTube TV instead
Which I
of,
do.
Hulu or Fubo or Sling or whatever.
This is a natural way to do it.
If you spend a lot of time watching YouTube TV and YouTube, I mean, the Google box is great. It really is very good. It is kind of at the Apple TV level. I've got some quibbles, but it also does a bunch of stuff way better than Apple does. So it's a good product. I was surprised. That was the one that it's frustrating because the one that's got the best features is Amazon, but there's so much junk that you just can't swallow it. It's just so overwhelmingly full of things that Amazon is trying to sell you, like the Echoes and all of that. It's just there's too much pollution in the Amazon ecosystem because they're trying to upsell you, whereas Google's is nice and pure and it's a good design and they do a good job with it for sure.
And you point out like the other problem that I think that Apple's facing here is that people have preferences for. I'm a Mac user and not a Windows user because I've tried both. I like the Mac better, and I'm also locked in. But I like the Mac better. Same thing. I use an iPhone instead of an Android phone because there are material differences between the two, and I prefer the iPhone. The thing is with streaming boxes, there's a reason why the Apple TV box, manufactured by one of the most amazingly design-forward tech companies in the world, it's just an unassuming black box where even the logo is just like a slightly embossed thing in the side of the plastic. Because for most people, they barely clock that this is an Apple product. This is just the platform that they launched the Netflix app from, that they launched the YouTube app from, that they launched the Hulu app from. And so it's really, really hard for them to add value in a way that really, really comes through that says, yeah, there's a reason why I spent $130 for this. Because boy, in those 4.5 seconds when I navigate to the YouTube app and click the button, before the 3 hours I spend watching YouTube, chef's kiss, great experience.
The other thing that we haven't talked about that we should mention is if you've bought a TV in the last 5 years, it's probably a connected TV, so it's got a Roku or something else inside it that's running that will run apps and play things. Now, if you've ever tried any of these, they're slow because guess what? TV processors are poor and the software is bad, and it's also probably going to try to track you. But that's kind of the baseline. So you could argue that this whole category where the Apple TV plays is for people who care enough to go beyond what's on their TV set.
That's true.
And so
most people probably aren't. Actually.
You're seeking a somewhat discerning customer, and that I think speaks to actually what Andy was saying about Apple's opportunity here. I want to frame this for a second as, they did MLS, they've got some baseball, and every time like the Yankees are on Friday Night Baseball, everybody in New York's like, how do I watch the Apple TV? Forget about it, or whatever. I don't know. New York, New Jersey, whatever. It's the Yankee territory.
Forget about it.
And it's an opportunity, and F1 is going to do this too. Ted Lasso is a hit. Severance is a hit. These are moments where Apple TV, the service, can sell some hardware from people who are like, yeah, I guess my TV does that, but it's no good. And
partly because the Apple TV app is terrible on all other platforms.
Well, and mostly because, it's okay, but it's as bad as those platforms are, right? Like if you use, like I've got Roku on my TV, and when I erased it, right? I decommissioned it, but when I was using it, I was like, it's so slow. So this is an opportunity for Apple to make a sale, and right now they're coming in and their sale is $129, and I guess the argument is maybe they're happy that that's where they're trying to convert people. But I think Andy and I are saying, what if it was $79? Maybe you would get more people who would actually wire. And once you're in their ecosystem, you're renting movies, you're buying movies, you're using their apps. And I can tell you, a lot of those apps have features that are either only on Apple TV because it's got so much more processor power, or best on Apple TV. Like some of the multi-view stuff.
Even Netflix is best on Apple TV.
It's like there's so much stuff that runs so much better on it. There are reasons, but you got to convert them from the little cockamamie, processor that's running inside their TV set. Having an Apple show or sport or something is an opportunity, but right now you're going to hit up against $129.
price is really an issue. It is. You're right. I agree.
Versus $20 for.
Yeah.
And that is an excellent point that people are getting streaming platforms built into their TVs.
Or as somebody just pointed out in our Discord, on their game platforms, 32% of all streaming stuff is done on gaming platforms, says Anthony Nielsen.
Yeah, I had a friend who worked at the Xbox movies service that got shut down by Microsoft, and it is fascinating to know that so many people look. If you've got it, then you've got a piece of hardware that'll run the app, and that's great. Although I would argue that it's a nice upgrade to not have to watch every movie you want to watch with your game controller as the remote control.
The game controller, remote control.
But you
it's
can.
Literally what I hate.
And so again, that's the thing they're competing with is well, this can do it, so this is good enough. And then maybe their partner is like, how do I pause it? Which is it? The square? Is it the triangle?
I think you made an important point. Once people get into the Apple ecosystem, they end up buying more and more Apple stuff.
That's the game.
It's smart for Apple to have a loss leader that gets you into the system.
I mean, Apple's never going to have a loss leader, right? They just are never going to do it. But it feels like the margins for a streamer box are there, right? Like it feels like
think how it would sell if they had a $79.99 Apple TV. Yeah. That would be such an opportunity, and then it gets you into the home automation. Yep. It gets you into Apple TV Plus.
It's a home hub. And they're trying to push home stuff, right? Like they've got the screen that you just talked about. They've got HomePods out there. Mark Gurman says they're going to make like a weird tabletop robot. Like if you're going into the home, also a doorbell or a surveillance camera. Like if you're going into the home, the TV product is your home hub. It does a lot of other stuff. You want it in people's homes because it fits. Then you're building that ecosystem out. It interfaces well with your iPhone. Once you if Alex were here, he would talk about how he hates logging into apps on the Apple TV, right? Like everybody who's playing the Alex drinking game.
By the way, I'm adding if Alex were here as a potential show.
Yes,
I think so. I think Apple's trying to solve this. But they're making notice.
This is what I was going to say. Is like if you're in the iPhone ecosystem and the Apple ecosystem, the Apple TV is so much better because these days for apps that have been updated, I don't know if you've noticed this, but like you open an app and you need to log in and it says, oh, just log in with your phone. And you literally just Face ID, unlock your phone. And it's like, boop, I'm logged in. Yeah. Just like that. Like that's how they built
Disney
it. It's
Plus
so
is doing
much
this.
better.
More and more are doing that. I think
and that's
great.
Apple's game, right? It's like it's all kind of conducive to like, oh yes, well you have an iPhone and you have an Apple TV and. So getting it in more, more people should have the Apple TV. It's a good product.
Yeah, my other disappointment with Apple TV has always been that it has so much. As a computer that is always connected to the internet and inside your house and always turned on, amazing to think about all the things that could do to enhance the Mac experience and the iPhone experience and every other experience that you're doing. Even just the idea of, hey, I'm on my phone, or I've just spent $1,200 on my iPad Pro, but I want to run a Mac app, and to be able to connect back to your house and connect you to the Mac Mini, that is also a very, very low power device that is also plugged in and on standby and connected to the internet, and be able to simply open up a window without having to, what is your tunneling protocol? Have you opened a proxy? And what is the Apple TV will take care of it. It knows where your computers are. It knows what their IP addresses are. It will make sure that one can connect to the other and find each other without any problems whatsoever. And that's just one example of what the idea of an always on, always connected to the internet, very, very low power Apple device could do inside the house.
Let's take a break. Actually, let's not take a break. We have a bunch of little stories we should do, and then we'll take a break and get your picks of the week. I hate to prematurely cut this conversation off. There's so much good stuff, but I must move on to other wonderful things real quickly. We mentioned the F1 thing. That's good. Tim Cook vows to boost China investment despite governmental pressure. By the way, moving to Vietnam doesn't really cut your tariffs all that much. Okay, but a little bit. What else? Just going through all the stories. You put in a whole bunch of stories, Andy. I want to make sure we get to all of those. What anything that I've missed?
In the future, they'll be available on Andy's website.
Yes,
someday. Someday. Andy, also, do you still do the video recap of MacBreak Weekly after MacBreak Weekly?
I'm recording them. My focus is on getting the blog launched, but I'm recording stuff and learning the techniques for trying to do this in a way that does not take me 8.5 hours spread across 2 days. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy the end product. What I don't enjoy is that, hey, that's great. So now I got 8.5 minutes of video without wasting anybody's time, and it only took me a day and a half. Okay,
soon.
That's soon. Let's improve on that. So it's still there. I like so Apple released like a new. I think you actually call it like a new branding campaign with a new video on YouTube called
Save it. Let's take a break and then do that. I like that. Thank you.
Lots of surprises in there. Yeah.
Yes. And then with a certain person.
In it.
Yes. Yeah. We will talk about that in just a bit. Andy Anako is here. Jason Snell. Alex has the week off. Our show today brought to you by Zapier. And when I say brought to you by Zapier, I mean it. That's how I work on the show. I love Zapier. Zapier connects all the tools, thousands of different tools that you use, no matter what you use, together to make workflows. And it does it so easily. I use Zapier to prepare our shows. I'm constantly going through news stories, tech news, and all that. Every day I spend, hours looking at the different stories. And when I see one I want to talk about on the show, I bookmark it. I use Raindrop. So I bookmark it in Raindrop. Thank you, Andy, for recommending that. But then Zapier is monitoring Raindrop because it's one of the apps that I've hooked into Zapier, and then sees that I put something new in there, whoosh, automatically posts it on twit.social. We have a news links feed there. Boom. Zip. Also automatically puts it into a Google spreadsheet that our producers then can use to build our rundowns. And now I'm thinking, because Zapier's added a new feature, I'm gonna make this even smarter. We're always talking about AI on this show, and over the last few months, that's all anybody can talk about. But talking about trends doesn't necessarily help you be more efficient at work. For that, you need the right tools. And that's where Zapier comes in. Zapier is how you break the hype cycle and put AI to work across your company. So, for instance, I can now use Zapier's AI orchestration in my existing workflows. I can take the stories that I've bookmarked and have maybe Claude summarize them and generate questions to ask about them and that kind of thing. With Zapier's AI orchestration platform, you can bring the power of AI to any workflow. Connect the top AI models. They've got ChatGPT, they've got Claude, and on and on and on. And you can connect them to the tools you're already using, to even the Zaps, the workflows you've already built, so you can add AI exactly where you need it. Whether that's AI-powered workflows, an autonomous agent, a customer chat bot, whatever it is, you can orchestrate it with Zapier and now add AI. Zapier is so cool. You don't need to be a geek to use it. It's for everyone, tech expert or not. Teams have already automated over 300 million AI tasks using Zapier. Join the millions of businesses transforming how they work with Zapier and AI. Get started for free by visiting zapier.com/MacBreak. That's zapier.com/MacBreak. When Zapier turned on these AI workflows, it changed my world. It will change your world. It is amazing. Zapier.com/MacBreak. Great ideas start on Mac. Now, because this is an Apple ad, I cannot play it for you because I will get taken down. But tell us about it, Andy, because you've watched it.
Yeah, it's really cool. And it seems like a start of an ad campaign, at least Ad Age, the trade newspapers seem to think it was. And it's just all about, like, there's a blank screen and there's like a blinking cursor with nothing on it, and a really endearing voiceover talks about, hey, every great idea started off as nothing. Everything started off as a blank page.
Writer's block. You know what? You're identified with this, Andy.
Yeah, I know. That's like I found. I was okay for the first couple seconds, but that blue cursor just kept blinking and blinking and blinking, and I felt very, very triggered. But it's actually a very, very nice. It's very nice. It's all about the idea. It's all about the idea of, look, like every great idea everything you wished existed at one point started with someone like you basically starting with a blank sheet of paper and basically positing that, well,
This is so much better than crushing cellos and pianos with a giant press.
And the voiceover is by Jane Goodall,
who was, I didn't know this, part of the Think Different campaign.
Yeah.
So Jane Goodall, of course, recently passed. Dr. Jane Goodall was studying chimpanzees, very famous and a great person. So I hope her estate's getting all the money. I mean, I'm sure they are.
There's a lot of stuff. She's also I don't know if you like the British show Portrait Artist of the Year, but she's having the finale. The winner of that competition, and I don't think the episode's aired yet, is painting a portrait for the National Gallery of England,
that's neat,
of Jane Goodall.
Jane
so
Goodall.
It's like, wow,
that's neat.
I'm glad lots of good things happened like under the wire like that, including that Netflix. Good heavens. So Netflix created, there's a Scandinavian show that Netflix bought or basically decided to do a series of, in which the most incredible, this has nothing to do with Apple, but you're going to enjoy this, incredible concept, which is we are just going to interview great people, and it's just going to be nobody in the booth in the studio has access to the microphones. It's just a conversation that's private between this one host and the individual, and the individual is speaking with the knowledge that none of this will be played back, edited, and aired until after they die. I think it's called Last Words. And as it happens, they recorded Jane Goodall doing an episode of Last Words like a few months ago. And again, part of the premise of the show is, no, we will not confirm that anybody has ever done this show. After they pass, we then spend a very fast 48 hours playing back the tapes and editing together like an hour-long thing. And there's one segment of it where Jane Goodall is like literally, I believe, alone in the studio. Even the host leaves, and she's the only one who knew that this is going to be, for the next 5 minutes, this is going to be something that only you know actually exists, and it will not be shown to anybody or heard by anybody until after you pass. That is for someone who is truly great, like Jane Goodall, as opposed to someone who wants to bury a lot of hatchets. It's quite a powerful premise. So that's part of the lineup of things. Like, I'm glad that time was taken to get her comments, get her participation in a bunch of things, so that we don't feel as though her passing was quite so abrupt. But getting back to the great ideas.
She was 91.
She was 91, exactly.
Wasn't that abrupt?
Well, I mean, in the sense that
she was very active and speaking all over the place.
She was.
And all that,
she was
right?
on a speaking tour when she passed.
What I mean is that, like, at some point we're going to find out that Mel Brooks is dead, and that's not happened today. I'm saying, but at some point, and it's just going to be at first, and Mel is not going to talk to us about his life after he has passed, and we're not going to find out actually that happened like 2 weeks after. There was this amazing like 90-minute like special in which he talks about the producers and he talks about this. From a selfish point of view, when there's somebody that the society loves, and rightly so, passes away, it's nice to have a little time to process that, and it's nice to have a little something to sit around and talk about while they're going through. But getting back to it, it is. I'm glad you mentioned, like, hey, let's crush this piano and crush this art.
Yeah, this is a very much better way to think about these things. This promotes creators.
This is classic Apple. This is exactly
good contrast.
What they want people to think about in terms of Macs particularly, and what credibly they can claim to be, because they've veered to the left, to the right, up and down from the central tenet of their founding. But it is a platform that really likes to help creative people create great things.
AdAge pointed out, and thank you for quoting it because I don't have an AdAge account. Among the creators featured are Bruce Strickott, an ocean engineer who's been using a Mac since the Clinton years. It's funny, the Clinton years is now a long time ago. To share discoveries from the sea floor. It is actually, isn't it? Ruchika Sachdeva, whose brand Bodice reimagines Indian workwear through indigenous craft. And Alice Wong, the activist behind the Disability Visibility Project. And the robotics team from 1X Technologies, they're designing, in fact, they just released videos of their first humanoid robots. for the house. I don't know if I want a extra strong machine wandering around my home.
Yeah, it's like there's so many of these wonderful demos, but it's like all I can see is very, very powerful motors and pinch points in the joints of those motors.
Yeah.
And thinking there's a reason why every time that Boston Robotics had those Atlas videos of the robot doing amazing things, there is not a sole human being anywhere near the thing, and it's operating inside a chain link fenced cage, because if there are YouTube videos of like bots in development where it just, it turns out that we should have put a 63 in this value instead of a 52, and it just starts flailing and tearing itself apart because of a certain mistake.
I mean, I like the idea of a robot vacuuming the house, but I would like it if it was a small flat disk instead of something that looks like Commander
that the
Data.
kitty can ride on.
Yeah, the kitty can ride on. Yeah.
I'm using everybody. But there's one other story that I don't know if we want to wait for Alex, but it's like so Steve Jobs is going to be on a commemorative coin next year.
Yeah, I saw that. Isn't that nice? It doesn't look like Steve. I know they're taking it.
I know it's like some other hippie wandered in.
Yeah. And it's like definitely. I'm glad that they showed him like not like in the iPhone, iPad keynote version of him, but the guy who's absolutely just dropped acid.
It does. Yeah, he's in the Apple Orchard, actually. Probably a read. But it's not Steve's face. I don't know whose face it looks.
It's to be fair, it's really, really tiny, and it's like, and so it's not like
it's not. Is it legal tender? Can you use it?
You can, but it's worth $1, and it'll cost you what, $20 to buy it.
Oh, so you probably shouldn't.
It's part of it. There's the U.S. Mint is doing like a series of, just like they did the U.S. presidents, just like they did like a series of coins. Yes, they were legal tender, and maybe you will get some in change that people like happen to spend it, but
by accident.
Mostly people, hey, pay us more than face value for this, and then don't actually reintroduce it.
You can't buy them in rolls of 25 and bags of 100 if you want to hand them out.
I wonder if Woz will add that to his repertoire. In addition to the pads of $2 bills, it will be like.
I saw an article yesterday that cracked me up that said Steve Wozniak prints his own money and hands it out, and they were in on the jokes. Woz buys these uncut $2 bills from the U.S. Mint. They're real legal tender. Yeah. And then tries to trick people into thinking he printed it himself.
Because he has the sheets perforated by like an actual press.
He puts them in a pad.
Attach it to like a gummed pad. So he's actually like tearing off like one of these bills like from a perforated sheet, and then maybe, it's $6. Here it is have the entire sheet from the pad. So yeah.
That was, but he's buying those bills for $2 per bill, right?
Exactly.
That's the difference.
He's realized that again. He did sell off his Apple stock like a number of years ago. He's no longer wealthy enough to buy himself out of that level of trouble. So he's not printing his own money.
Yeah, he's not. But somebody fell for it. I saw an article today that said Steve.
There's something about gentlemen of a certain age and the $2 bill. There was a guy who was a friend of my grandmother's who. It's a long story. I think he was in the mob in Philadelphia, but he had retired. He had survived, and he was just in his retirement. This little old man who lived next to my grandmother, who was also retired, and I visited her in Pennsylvania, and we listened to like the Phillies games on the radio and talked about baseball. And he gave me a crisp $2 bill that I still have. But that was his thing, was like, kid, here's a $2 bill, and you never even see a $2 bill, and you're like, whoa, thanks, mister. So that's gentlemen of a certain age with the $2 bills.
And the kid asks, "What side of this do I tap on the kiosk in order to pay for something?"
Yeah, no, exactly. How does that work?
It over, but how do I get it back? You don't.
I tried to put it in the soda machine, and it wouldn't accept it. Well, yeah.
Actually, this is a 14-year-old interview from the Engadget show. Joshua Topolsky is apparently fooled.
Steve brought these pads. Kevin, can you? One of our interns is going to bring this out. Can you tell us a little bit about this pad? Steve, he gave me some sheets off of this pad. And
this is right about when he gave us the sheets, right?
of paper.
They're not
but
normal
basically, basically, I got a printer in my hometown of Los Gatos, California, to make these pads for me, and I got him the supplies from a higher quality printer, and they're perforated, so you can tear them off like green stamps. I don't know if it's the right president. The serial numbers are very suspicious, but
see, he's trying to trick
you can
him.
still smell the ink, so don't touch it because it's a little wet. They meet the specs of the U.S. government. So by law, these are legal tender. I have been
Because they are.
Yeah.
I have in my hands 2 of these that was signed to my son, which I forgot to give him. But you see, they're perforated, and they would come on a pad. It's hysterical. But this is real $2 bills, Anyway,
Soltank is doing well though. He doesn't need the money.
I'm keeping him. You're right. The hell with that kid. He doesn't need my money anymore. He should be giving me money. So anyway, thank you to Governor Newsom, who recommended Steve Jobs for the coin, and I think that's really cool.
And also compared to the others, so the first 4 are Iowa, Wisconsin, California, and Minnesota. Iowa is Dr. Norman Borlaug, who did something amazing with grain. Wisconsin chose the Cray 1 supercomputer.
So cool.
A good choice, and it's actually a cool looking thing. Minnesota decided to honor mobile refrigeration. Which
don't knock it. That's a huge deal. Yes.
Again, I enjoy having vegetables that were not grown within 50 miles of me. That's fine. It's just that it's not very inspiring.
It's not much of a coin.
Was there a human being involved in that you basically put on?
Here's what the coin looks like. It's got a cute little truck on it with the words Minnesota.
Yeah. But I don't want to coin shame any state. I'm sure it's fine.
No coin shaming.
Also, I acknowledge that anytime a state is invited to create a commemorative coin or put a statue someplace, there are so many people from so many communities that deserve that honor. It might be part of the thinking process that no one deserves to be felt as though they're not heard and not represented. Let's choose something so that nobody feels left out. And I think that's a legitimate thing if you're trying to pick a subject for that. So, but nonetheless, it's just a side view of a truck. I drew that when I was in 5th grade.
Well, these are so we don't know what's going to get picked. These are all the candidates, and I like the one that's the steering wheel, and it's, by the way, leather wrapped. But I don't think that's going to get selected. These are all candidates. This is according to somebody the recommended designs. One of the 2 will be likely chosen. The Secretary of the Treasury gets to decide.
American Innovation Series.
Mobile refrigeration. I'm surprised that they didn't go with something from like 3M, right? Like 3M is in Minneapolis. Is there not some really great adhesive related innovation?
Also,
Post-it notes. Post-it notes.
You know what? There is a good Minnesota connection because Mystery Science Theater 3000 did a riff on a 1950s short about refrigerated trucks. Called the Truck Farmer.
Well, that's right. Why don't they put MST3K on the Minnesota coin?
Yes,
then,
that's a very good idea. By the way, this is the final design. The one that got picked was the one with the truck on the side, and the Statue of Liberty is on the other side.
But but on the Mystery Science Theater 3000 innovative coin, do you choose Mike or do you choose Joel?
It's just a silhouette that you have to guess.
Servo, obviously.
Silhouettes making fun of the American Eagle that's on the 1950s. That making fun of the 1953 silver dollar.
It should be of the refrigerated truck. It should be. Somebody needs to get that coin and then do a little sticker you can put on it that gets MSD3K to riff on the coin.
This is a third-party marketing opportunity.
We got it. Andy, you and I, we figured it out. We riffed it out.
Here's Iowa's with Dr. Norman Borlaug, the inventor of wheat, I guess. One of the other commemorative coins. I think I have a whole bunch of them here. Let me see. This is the Cray supercomputer from Wisconsin.
Yeah, that one's really good with the stylized overhead view of the supercomputer in the letter C of the Cray. Yeah, that was
and then
was
of
really
course
good.
From California, Steve Jobs. Doesn't look like Steve, but yeah, it's really tiny.
Yeah,
I guess it is really tiny.
That Iowa,
it's a nice piece of art.
Is interesting. Norman Borlaug, I don't know, but that's hey, we got a Luther Burbank coin or something, right? It's he was really good with plants.
He did pioneering work developing resilient crops capable of feeding a growing global population.
Good job, man. Good job.
So somebody had to do it.
Innovation.
Legitimately great stuff.
And he probably never thought he'd have a coin. So pretty good.
You know the valve stem on a tire?
Yeah.
Guess what state innovated that? South Dakota. It's like, yeah, but you know what? It's probably something cool. It's hard to translate into a really, really compelling, like, intaglio bas relief design for the obverse of a coin. That's all I'm saying.
There's probably no Apple connection. The Amazon Web Service outage, which was a big deal. A lot of sites went down. Was it yesterday? I guess it was.
Yeah. Like Apple Music went down a couple of things.
Did it go down? Okay, so there is an Apple connection. Okay.
Yeah, and it's just a reminder to like the entire world that
everything runs on Amazon.
There are very few servers that run most of what you need on a day-to-day basis, and that when one of them has a DNS failure, and as the saying goes, it's always a DNS failure. Yeah, guess what? You're going home at 2 p.m. because there's no reason to stay in the office today.
Apple TV, Apple Music, and the App Store all suffered outages. I didn't notice it, so I must have been when I wasn't awake or something. But still, Jammer B says he noticed things were down. So, yeah, okay, so it's good. We talked about that, ladies and gentlemen. I think we should now get prepared, since it is already 1:15. We've got Security Now coming up in just a few minutes for our picks of the week. Andy Ihnatko, Jason Snell, I'm Leo Laporte. Alex, of course, has the week off. You're watching MacBreak Weekly. One of the things I always like to do on these shows is to thank our club members for making everything we do here possible. Club Twit, which was a genius idea Lisa came up with during COVID, now we're 3 or 4 years in, represents a quarter of our revenue. It's keeping us on the air. We would have to cut way back if it weren't for your helpful support. We try to reward you, of course. We do a lot of interesting things in the club. This past week, we had Stacy's Book Club, which was a lot of fun. We're voting now on the next book if you are in the club. We also had the photo show with Chris Marquardt, which you do every month. Coming up Friday, it's something once in a lifetime. Micah Sargent, our dungeon master, will guide Paul Thurrott, Jonathan Bennett from the Untitled Linux Show, Paris Martineau from Intelligent Machines, and Jacob Ward, all of whom I think have played D&D many times, and me, will be I have never played D&D. I have created a character, Sagbottom the Cheerful, and I look forward to playing. We're going to the Harvest Festival, an autumn fair filled with games, laughter, and after sundown, a few surprises. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I hope you'll join us 2 o'clock Friday afternoon, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2100 UTC. Micah says it's going to last about 3 hours. So bring lunch. That's just one of many things we do because we can, frankly, because the club really makes it possible. We're very, very grateful for your support. If you're not a member of the club, though, I'd love to get you in it. It's easy enough. Go to twit.tv/clubtwit. There's a 2-week free trial so you can see what it's like. You get ad-free versions, by the way, of all the shows. So if the ads are grating on you, I understand. It's how, if you don't join the club, it's how we have to support what we're doing here because it's expensive to do this. But if you do join the club, well, we don't need to show you any ads. So that's good. You get the special content. You also get access to the Club Twit Discord, which is a wild and crazy place to hang out. It's so much fun. And there's smart people. In fact, Darren Oki is saying it was Amazon East that went down. So because it was the middle of the night, for me on the West Coast, I did not experience it. I guess Jammer B, you were up late. Anyway, join the club. We'd love to have you. Great people in there. Great to hang out. Oh, Paul said that. Sorry. That's right. Paul said that. Another great person in there. In fact, Paul and Darren are superb coders, and we will probably be doing the Advent of Code in December again. We did it in the club last year. It was so much fun. So maybe that's another thing we can do. Actually, Paul's trying to convince me to do Everybody Codes, which starts at the end of this month at Halloween. So maybe we'll have a little coding. We have our AI user group, too, every first Friday of the month. It's so much fun. Please join us in the club. twit.tv/clubtwit. We would love to have you. Now, time for the picks of the week. I'm going to kick it off because I've got 2 little programs that I think are kind of interesting. I don't usually do picks of the week, but this one was just fascinating to me. Craig Hockenberry made an Apple script that finds a bug. There's a bug in Electron which causes system-wide slowdowns in Mac OS Tahoe. And I'm going to load the Tahoe Electron detector, which is free. It's a utility you can download from Craig. Whoa. I think I just broke my computer. it's spinning.
It's going to spin for a while.
It's that's something else. I don't know what that is. Let me see what's going. There it is. It's spin. Oh, look at that. So I have a lot of Electron apps on my MacBook here.
Right.
Most of which are vulnerable to the slowdown. They're bugged. I guess there's a patch for Electron which can be fixed. You can update your Electron. Only Bitwarden and Notion are currently up to date. But Discord, Slack, Raindrop, Dot, Netron, Cursor, ChatD, Reor, Signal, Anything LLM, Jan, Multiviewer for F1, that's the one I was talking about, AnyType, Belina Etcher, Cluely, and Joplin and Obsidian are all slowing down my Tahoe.
Maybe. I think I read a follow-up that said that it's possible, like Discord is an example, where they may have not been able to go to because it's based on what version of Electron, because the Electron version that fixes this issue is out there, but not all the apps have used it yet. And I think I read somewhere that it's possible that Discord has patched it, like done a partial patch. There's a complexity level here, but you don't necessarily have to import the whole of Electron to address this one issue. And so but it's good to know, right, that you may have some Electron apps that you should either ask the developer if they're aware of the issue, or do an update yourself if there's an update to be downloaded or whatever, because there's a problem. There's a bug in a framework that's very common that causes a slowdown. It's not great.
It's at Craig. It's worth taking a look at, and what I really like is it highlights how much of what we use today is written in Electron, which is a version of Chromium.
Yep.
It actually puts a full browser into each app, so it's a complete waste of space, and it can slow down your machine, but it is cross-platform. And so a lot of companies that want to design, like Notion, that want to design a tool that runs on Mac and Windows and Linux will use Electron to do so. So it's kind of just a educational tool. Thank you, Craig, for writing this. And actually, he's basing it on something that Thomas Kafka wrote originally. So furbo.org is Craig Hockenberger's blog. Hockenberry's blog, Furbo, Furbo.org. The other thing I wanted to talk about is, I haven't tried this, but I'm very interested in it. It's got a terrible name, notepad.exe. Yes, it runs on the Mac. It is if you don't want to use Apple's Xcode, but you still want to write Swift, this might be an interesting thing to look at. It is a lightweight editor for Swift, or Python. You can actually run your your Swift apps, Swift UI apps in it. They even have built in a iOS emulator, and all of it much lighter than Xcode. So I think this might be something worth taking a look at. It also supports Python scripts. So I think this is kind of a cool little editor. It can be used for free. There is a $25 a year subscription option, and there's also a lifetime license of $100. A native for the Mac Swift and Python editor named notepad.exe, just to mess with your brain. Isn't that hysterical that they named
a nod
that?
Towards tradition?
And yes, but it looks really cool. I haven't played with it yet, but I think it might be worth taking a look at anyway. Andy Ihnatko, pick of the week.
I've been sort of taking a look at grammar checkers after reinstalling Grammarly for the first time in years to see how that works out, and being so horrified by the experience. It's like, I'm sure there are people who use Grammarly who maybe know how to use it better than I do, but I installed it, and then suddenly it's like I couldn't type, the TH, and suddenly Grammarly is exploding all over my screen trying to autocomplete things and saying, oh, you shouldn't start things with a definite article. Like, actually, do you want to, if you want us to change those first two letters into a first, like, shut up? I've forgotten the sentence I was about to write. I can't uninstall you fast enough. And so I've been looking at alternatives, and I found a grammar checker called Harper.
I use Harper. I love Harper.
Yeah. It is open source. It's basically supported by the development is supported by it's one guy, and the development is supported by Automatic, the folks who make WordPress. It's entirely hosted and run on device, like on your MacBook. And it's a much calmer version of Grammarly.
It doesn't do nearly as much as Grammarly does, obviously.
Oh, no, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not,
but that's for some. That's exactly what you want.
What I'm looking for is a reminder that you typed the word "the" twice. Like,
right.
Oh, that's right. Thank you. Very much.
I use this in Obsidian because they have an Obsidian plugin that runs in Obsidian, and I love it.
It's not available everywhere. Again, another advantage of Grammarly is that any place where you can face a blinking cursor, it will actually you can actually use it. This one, it's not as ambitious as that, but there's a Firefox plugin, there's a Chrome plugin, so anything that you're doing editing like Google Docs or anything that's on there, as you said, there's an Obsidian plugin. There are plugins for a couple other things. It's also you can also access it via the command line, so that if you want to try it via write automations that do grammar checking, it's a good solution. I mean, the two biggest selling points is that it's free, and also it runs completely on device, so you don't have to worry about, am I wise to allow this third-party code to observe literally everything that I'm writing in every app that I'm using to write with? And it's worth a try. You go writewithharper.com, as the sentence goes, and it's worth checking out. There's also, of course, a demo area you can type in. I have the plugin working in Chrome, and I've been using it, and I've been enjoying it a lot. I'm not sure if it's the perfect solution for what I'm looking for. I really wish that they'd make a Ulysses plugin, even though I think the Ulysses does do grammar checks, but it's not working the way that I would like it to work. But again, definitely worth checking out for the price, and also very, very flexible and very, very privacy focused.
And it does spell checking as well, so that's
And again,
nice.
I'm not looking for someone to say, "Oh, here's a way to tighten that up," or "Oh, well, that's kind of formal," or attack me for using the word "hey, folks." Like, "Oh, that's kind of like informal, don't you think?" Again, my brain is a little bit neurospicy. Sometimes I will type a word twice, or sometimes I will like end a sentence 3 words before it actually is supposed to end. That's all I want you to do. When I use Gemini, I use Gemini as a grammar checker as well, and like my prompt and the Gemini gem that I have basically says that you are not to edit based on style. You're not edit based on rewriting. You're just simply here to copy, edit, and check for grammatical errors, spelling errors, and flow and basic style like that.
Yeah,
So
and they have a list of
like,
some of the basics that they fix, which is, I think, really cool. Never say more unique again. You know, there's just certain things you should really not do, and you can add to them, which is nice.
Also,
and you can turn them off too, which is
also
nice.
literally has an actual dictionary definition that we would like you to observe from moving forward.
Yes. Oh, I love it. Yes, I'm a big fan of Harper, actually. It's really great. Mr. Jason Snell, your pick of the week. Yeah,
I have the same outdoor LED string lights that literally everybody has in their home or and every restaurant has outside and everything, little, string lights that you put up.
Do you wrap them around your trees in the backyard?
It passes through the branches of my tree and then goes back to my house again, and it lights up my backyard. And I had a HomeKit thing that sort of worked, and it died last week. That let me control it and time it, and it had a dimmer, support and all that. And so I bought a new one, and it's better. So I'm going to recommend it. It is from Tapo. It is the smart Wi-Fi outdoor plug. It is rated for outdoors. It supports dimmers. It is a Matter device, so it was very easy to link it in, and it works with all of my stuff. $23. And especially, I would say, if you do not have something like this for your string lights, I really recommend it, because here's what we used to have: the string lights, and when you turn them on when you went out like for the evening or something like that and hung out in the backyard. But what I found that I really like is we watch TV in a room with 2 big French doors right next to our patio, and it was always just like a black void out there. Right?
That's not good. You don't want that darkness outside your window, especially when you're watching horror movies.
It eats into your soul.
Yes.
So, and my house is very small.
Yeah.
So now I have the string lights come on fairly dim at sunset
It's
and
reassuring.
stay until like 11:30, and it means my house feels bigger because when we're sitting in the living room we can see our patio it's
nice.
visible. It also is good for when we let the dog out, and you can then buy, if you want to, a little HomeKit remote switch, and I've got one stuck to the wall that lets me turn it on and off from a physical switch as well. It's like a little remote control, but it feels like a light switch. I'm using the Philips Hue one, but there are lots of those too. But just the automation really wins the day, and that it's dimmable means that I can put it on like not at full blast because I don't want that, but I do want it on at like 25% in the evening when we're eating dinner and watching TV and stuff like that. So this is not only the Tapo one, which seems to work great and is outdoor rated and uses Matter, but also just the concept. These things are out there in so many places, and they're all dimmable, and they're all automatable, and all you need to do is spend $23 and add it to your HomeKit network or whatever, and it will make things nicer. I think it's just kind of nice to have. I have a bunch of things now. My number one use of my smart home, honestly, is some lights come on when it gets dark like that. Like it's in the dead of winter, it's really nice for me to leave my office and walk into my living room and the lights are on, because at sunset or like 30 minutes before sunset, it puts my living room lights on like 25-30%, not 100%, but like it means that I'm not stepping into a black house, right? Like there's nothing here. It's a void. It's nice to have. It makes everything feel a little warmer, and having that outside is a really nice treat too. So there you go. Tapo.
TAPO.
Yep.
And,
Smart outdoor plug-in dimmer.
Yeah.
I got it on Amazon, $23.
Yeah. Very nice. Good recommendation.
I guess 30 is the standard price, but it's currently on sale. Your mileage may vary, but I think it has added far more than $30 of enjoyment to my house.
Thank you, Jason Snell. Your sixcolors.com is worth every penny I pay for it, which is nothing. But if
people can become a member, and then you get a podcast, which is really fun, that Dan Morin and I do every week that people really like. But yes, we give away many things for free, including all of those M5 stories where you can read about the many, many M5s, Star Trek and otherwise, on sixcolors.com this week. And of course, next week we'll have colorful charts, because next week is Apple's financials.
Yay. Yeah, well, we'll talk about that before they come out, and then after.
And then after. It's beautiful. Yeah. It's content for 2 weeks.
Maybe
maybe it'll be a $4 trillion company by then. They almost did it on Monday.
They're so close. So close. And of course, Jason has many podcasts at sixcolors.com/upgrade.
/Jason, but you're thinking of upgrade.
/upgrade. I was thinking of your upgrade podcast.
Relay.fm/upgrade. Yeah, we did, Mike Hurley and I did an episode timed to the embargo. So it's just a whole conversation about the M5 stuff over there this week.
Nice. Very good. And I maybe should subscribe to Six Colors, since I do really spend
I can hook you
time. No, I don't want it for free. Okay. I like to support journalists.
Independent media. Yeah.
Independent media is so important now. So important now.
After flashing that big wad,
$2 bill. Oh.
Yeah, I've got not one but two $2 bills. I could buy one Steve Jobs coin.
I just wish. Do you have a $2 bill that has a less problematic president on it? He's
who is that? Jefferson? Jefferson was he problematic? He was a slave owner. Yes, and he had a relationship with Sally Hemings. That's right. I forgot. Yeah. Okay, I guess I'll give this back to Steve and see if he has any Ben Franklin's. That would be better. Ben was okay, right?
Bit of a horn dog.
Well, who isn't these days?
He was an abolitionist, however.
At least he was an abolitionist. That's right. That's Andy Ihnatko, ladies and gentlemen. Someday, any day, soon.
It's close enough that I'm pretty much consumed by tension and anxiety. So yes, very, very soon.
Yes, actually, come to think of it, there isn't a U.S. currency I could really use except for Franklin's. The Benjamins I'm going to stick with. You don't want the one. Lincoln's okay. You could. Is he on the 5? He's on the 5, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So 5s or 100s. That's it. Is it Andrew Jackson on the 50s? Something like that.
No, he's on the 20.
20.
That's Grant. He fought on the right side.
U.S. Grant. He's kind of okay. He wasn't a great president. I don't know. It's tough, It's tough. Picking the right president.
Yeah.
You picked the right podcast. That's the thing that matters. We do MacBreak Weekly every Tuesday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1800 UTC. I do hope you will join us either live, if you want to watch live, in the Club Twit Discord, if you're a member, or on YouTube, Twitch, not TikTok. We took it off TikTok, x.com, only because it was too complicated for us. No reflection on TikTok. X.com, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Kick.com. So we're still on 6 public platforms if you want to watch live. After the fact, though, you get audio or video of the show at our website, twit.tv/mbw. There is a YouTube channel dedicated to MacBreak Weekly, which is great for sharing little clips with friends and family. Do that. Helps us spread the word. We appreciate it. Unlike some companies, we like it when you show us in your podcast. And you can, of course, subscribe in your favorite podcast player, and that way you get it automatically. Do leave us a 5-star review if you can. We love the support. Thanks to our Club Twit members for making this possible. Thank you, Andy Anako. Thank you, Jason Snell. Maybe Alex will be back next week. Depends if he's done. I think he's working on the ballroom is what he's doing. I don't know. We don't know what he's doing. But
he does. He is licensed for heavy equipment.
Yeah,
so
he's been removing the east wall.
He got a lot of experience for working on the golf course with his family operating a bucket loader. So maybe
maybe we don't know.
We can all use like a little extra scratch on the
We
side.
should make up a lot of things that Alex could be doing when he's not here. I think
because 7 out of 13 of them would probably be likely true.
Likely true. Exactly. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you next time. But now it is, I'm sad to say, my solemn and important duty to tell you, get back to work. Break time is over. See you next time.